Hello there, ladies, gentlemen, and unicorns. Yes, we have sound, we have picture, we have you wonderful people here. Hello, everyone. And oh, thank you, Mr. Troy. Perfect timing for dropping in and also dropping a subscription for 35 months. Oh my God, thank you so much. I raise my mug in your honor with the runaway curly bracket, the coding unicorn. It's coding in Unicode naturally, and of course we have Java McBeans. They all say thanks, thank you, and thanks to you. They say thanks to you. This doesn't make any sense, so I tried to change mid-sentence, which made it even worse. Thank you so much, Mr. Troy, for dropping by, and I'm raising my Tinkerbell mug in return. Oh, I wish that would be funny if I could see you now and we just bump each other's webcams. Don't bump your webcam, by the way. Oh, that's Tinkerbell mug. That's nice. And Lady Miss Leaf says, we have Phil, voice and audio. Don't get used to it. That's what I say. Hello, everyone, and Cursey Boo as well. And I just realized that the stream description was wrong. Making stickers, I'm sorry, that was last week. I have the cricket somewhere in the cupboard behind me. No, today I want to return to doing things, typing things in, and having the computer interpret them and do something based upon this. So essentially I'm writing poetry for computers and they just interpret however they please. I thought I want to overhaul, or at least try to get started with overhauling my pixelprophecy.com/stuff download platform. As long-time viewers might know, before that I had a big old whopping what was it called? A content management CMS system. I think that it was Joomla or something, and of course it creaked under the load of being not the perfect fit for what I wanted, and especially each PHP update or update of the Joomla software, something always broke, and I was never happy with it because there was just this huge overhead to manage everything. So this is why I've been, thanks to Martijn Fraser, who helped me get started with a framework of my very personal PHP-based download platform. Yeah. And I mean, I've been adding to it, but it still looks a little bit, let's say, amateurish is the wrong word, I would say, but it's also not completely the wrong word. So if you look at a website and then you look at mine and I stand next to it and I say, nailed it. So yeah, that's what I want to cut a slice of better websites who do this kind of categorization and thing a little bit more pleasantly to watch. And again, yeah, this is what I want to get started with today. Because good news, I've been working again on a post-mortem. It's Ludum Dare 48 that I'm working on. And there has been good progress made this week. I think I got 4 or 5 motion graphics done and advanced somewhat with the edit. Finally, I returned to it, and it's not just half an hour here, half an hour there, just editing small things like, half a minute of sound, just leveling, those kinds of things, because finally I had a bigger slice of time to keep working on it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we see another post-mortem. One that was still filmed in the old flat, so it's going to be a little bit a trip down nostalgia lane. Web dev today, says Chris Boo. Yes, indeed, and I tried to quickly switch the stream information, and now it says making stuff with PHP and CSS, and there's a band-aid icon from the sticker making stream, but I think having PHP is putting band-aids over things, so that is what I'm going to do today. Yeah, and the other thing that I wanted to give you an update on, because last time making stickers, and Jerem was here in the stream, and he kept asking, hey, where can you buy this, or can I buy this? And I said, I cannot sell you this because I don't have a license. So yeah, this week I looked into the business law and all the things and the hoops that you have to jump through in Austria to open a web shop. And yeah, it's bureaucracy galore. On one hand, it costs money, of course, a little bit of administrative overhead, and it's not really so much the money that it costs per year. I'm probably not going to make it back with the stickers that I might or might not sell. The problem is all the huge load of regulations that are on top. For example, I've learned that there is some weird packaging community. That's the wrong word. It's something that you have to join because if you package something and you have I think the reason is that when it gets recycled, it costs money. So they just have a blanket fee for everyone who's selling things and packaging them that they have to pay into that. This is something that you have to know and register, and there's different kinds of this packaging law or whatever it is in France and in Germany. And of course, when you're selling worldwide, it's there is also this thing when it comes to taxes. In Austria, we have this wonderful, very bureaucracy infused talk where it's called a Reihengeschäft, which means a business done in sequence when you're drop shipping something. For example, what's happening with Redbubble, when someone buys from them, but actually from me because I get paid, and who is responsible for shipping, and it's a nightmare. So long story short, I will probably not open a web shop because of all these things. And then of course there are things like warranty. I have to take orders back after 2 weeks, and guarantee laws and all that kind of thing. That is really, I'm just selling stickers. I'm not pushing, I don't know, used notebooks or something. So yeah, long story short, I probably, I won't start a web shop. That being said, I teased that maybe I can send out stickers as presents, as rewards, as little thank yous to people who have been supporting me. And yeah, I will look into overhauling my Patreon presents, because when I started, it was all about postmortems, and I had all the time in the world, or at least much more time than I do have now. And I want to overhaul my Patreon so that people have a clearer picture of what Pixel Prophecy is nowadays all about, which of course also means no, the postmortems are not going away. I will not stop making postmortems, just as many of you already have realized that the pace of it has slowed down a little bit. And I just want to refocus that. And with that, again, when my Patreon is overhauled, I take a good look at all my supporters and how long I've having some of you very, very generous people out there supporting me in my weird, naive dreams of saying, yeah, you know what, there's a niche out there for people who are just interested in the process of being creative with computers. So pat yourself on the shoulders, because that's most of you out there. And if you're just lurking and not supporting, that's all good. I'm just glad that you're watching. Redbubble is a nightmare, says Lady Miss. Yeah, indeed it is. And the only thing that Redbubble has going for itself is this unified marketplace. So when you just head over to the Redbubble website and you enter, I don't know, cyberpunk stickers, you get from every individual shop there, because everything is in the database of Redbubble anyway. You get all the stickers there, which of course means that you get drive-by sales. That is the one thing that is great about Redbubble in my experience, because it really has deteriorated over the years. I've talked quite openly about this, and the current Pixel Prophecy dropshipping shop for these kinds of small sales that I make is shop.pixelprophecy.com. The fulfillment provider is Fourth Wall. The cut is better with Fourth Wall, but the downside is with Spreadshop and Shirtinator and others is there is, as far as I understand, no unified marketplace. So this is the reason why I'm not getting any drive-by sales or other things where just people randomly find my stuff when they're actually browsing something else, because everyone is on their own. And this is why you probably have seen me post a little bit too often on the socials. It was already, I think, twice this year where I pushed my web shop. So yeah, you have to do your own marketing, and I don't like doing this. It always feels a little bit, I don't know, dirty to say, hey, have you checked out my web shop, and have you checked out these things here that I very cunningly try to plug very subtly. Yeah, again, I mean, on one hand, people said, if you hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't have known that it is for sale or that I can get it. So again, I'm very grateful for those people. And others say, yeah, I know you have a shop. I'm not interested in that stuff. Stop spamming me, bro. And yeah, I totally get that as well. So yeah, that's my current position. So no web shop. but perhaps a little thank yous to current supporters on Patreon. Right, and the other thing that has changed here in the background, you see my new cupboard there is already starting to get a little bit cluttered. Currently there is the notebook set on top. I intentionally set out not to clutter this wonderful room, and you know how it goes. I've seen pictures of other people like the late Rebecca Heinemann, for example. My God, her home office was a nightmare, but a creative, fun, chaotic nightmare. And I say home office, which of course means something completely different, more like this governmental agency. But in German, when we say we work remote, we work from the home office. We use the English term. And home office, again, the office of the homeland or the office in your home, and we mean it the office at home. The other Germanism that we have is we call the mobile phone, we call it the handy. And of course, it's not handy in English, and this is when you hear German speakers say, you can call me on the handy, this is what they mean, because I think the reason for this is that there was this phone from Siemens or Samsung somewhat in the 90s, and the model was called the handy, and it was not even a mobile phone. It was you could, it was a cordless phone, but for the home. So it always you still hear it these days. Anyway, Mr. Troy says, is the quality of Redbubble any good? Most stuff I got from there faded easily. Yeah, it's not very good. That is the other thing. Over the past 2 to 3 years, I would say, the quality of Redbubble has diminished noticeably. And what the worst that I had with prints, it's not just fading them. I mean, those are not printed by Redbubble, but the shirts that I had recently from Redbubble bought, they started to get holes, and especially where the belt buckle meets the shirt. This I really realized it's very flimsy, and also the print, as you said, faded easily. And Frank, if I don't know if he's already here, Frank had the problems when he ordered these kinds of mugs, that there was a packaging problem, and the person who packed it didn't know how to pack it, and of course the handle broke off. So again, Redbubble, I have bad experiences with Redbubble again, which is a shame, because it used to be relatively good and fair company. But yeah, like I said, in the last 2.5 years, the quality of the products deteriorated, as on the other hand, the cut that they're taking skyrocketed. First, we had the fee to have an account there, where again they take like 40% of all the money that you make because you have an account there. And if you now charge a bigger markup to somehow offset this, well, this looks bad for Redbubble if their products are very highly priced, right? So what do? If you have a markup of more than 20% for your cut on top of what Redbubble already makes, they charge you half of whatever is on top of those 20% as an excessive markup fee. So yeah, highwayman, it feels like they just besiege you with fees. Anyway, on the other hand, with Fourth Wall, this mug, for example, is from Fourth Wall. It's the medium-sized mug there. I think there are 3 sizes, and really I was surprised by the quality. Also, I have a t-shirt from Fourth Wall. I haven't washed it that often so far, so I cannot tell in general about the longevity of the product, but so far in my experience, it's better than Redbubble. On the other hand, it would be harder to get to be worse than Redbubble nowadays. But also the stickers are fine, and from my so far experience from the samples that I got from Fourth Wall, they are superior in quality. But again, it's harder to find creators that are on Fourth Wall, because everyone is doing their own thing, or everything's very scattered. And Frank says, hello, wait, did my arrival here make a Redbubble handle break? I hope not. I hope not. What's the saying? Whenever a bell rings, an angel is born, and whenever Frank drops by in the chat, somewhere a handle from a Redbubble product breaks off. Oh, by the way, Frank says one of the quiz answers turns out to be wrong. Oh no, which company does Phil like to complain about the most? May not be. Yeah, that's the thing, right? It keeps changing. It's whatever whatever company irked me the last before I started the stream is the one that I hate the most at this point. Lady Misliff says to Frank, I keep saying that, but if it wasn't in the list, he would need to make it so that 2 answers are correct. Yeah, and this is weirdly, my quiz does not not support multiple answers being correct. There can only be one truth out there, because the truth is out there. My God, that's strong tea. Connie made me some tea, and this is, I think, ginger, rosemary, and oh God, what's the other one? Thyme, I think. So it's like 3 tea bags went into this one. It's all herbal, but my God, it's strong. Right, so programming. Who's up for some PHP? I sure am. Am I again not properly centered there? I probably, you know what, I probably shouldn't move the camera because everything has been set up for the camera. Maybe it would be wise if I just did this, right? Yeah. Right? the sensible thing. Anyway, so I hope you can hear some music in the background, because finally after weeks I fixed it. So there should be very faint post-mortem soundtrack music in the background. Mr. Choi is way too excited for PHP. And Frank says, by the way, I'm not actually awake, a busy weekend. All good, Frank, all good, Frank. Frank said, hope you don't mind me sharing this, that you went to the FOSS con, or what's it called? The FOSSDEM, the free open source software, what is it, a conference, right? It's in Brussels. It runs for 2 days, and I think the motto is just, you can just show up. You don't have to register anywhere, just show up, which FOSSDEM, that's the thing. So maybe if you're not too tired, next week or in the Pixel Prophecy Discord, maybe you can share your highlights there. Friend Open Source Developers European Meeting, that's the thing. I thought, to me, dem always implies, oh, it's a demo scene event. I mean, on one hand, could be. Right, so to give you a quick overview of what the current state of affairs is, let's make this a bit bigger. Yeah, this is a Pixel Prophecies stuff website with all my stuff there, and longtime viewers know I programmed half of it also on stream. And I've looked at it again and thought, you know what, it doesn't look too, I mean, it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look too modern or too professional. I don't know. It looks like there's a bit of space wasted, and it also feels like, I mean, there are things like you can switch from where you can change the view from these little capsules to lists, like this, for example, and all these little things, cards, I call them cards, which I find kind of neat. But overall, there is no something apart from the little breadcrumbs up here of some sort of navigation, or again, where it feels like other websites that people are used to. And if I can, I want to address this rather quickly, hopefully. So, yeah, Frank said, I went to a few talks and I spent a lot of time talking to friends. That's the best thing about conferences. That, at least that's what I've heard. I haven't been to many, but it's like this class meeting, or this reunion with friends who are in the same industry and you hardly see them, but everyone goes to the same conference. You watch a few talks and you just catch up and talk to people. And that's really the sad thing about online-only events is, as convenient as they are, it loses a little bit of this social aspect, I would say. But very cool that, I mean, you didn't have to go half around the globe to get there, right? And I had several beers. Oh, cheers. Kirsty says, redesign is good if your opinion has changed. That is, again, that might be my problem, that at some point you look at something and think, you know what, I think I could do this better now. And also that is what happened with my postmortem that I started like 4 or 5 years ago, the postmortem 48. So I went over it and I ported it from Premiere to Resolve. This is, I think I also hinted at it in the last stream, and this really increased my productivity. So now here we are on the on-ramp to my Adobe rant. No, essentially things are improving over the years, especially when you look at your old output and you think, that's a good thing, because this means you still keep improving. The worst thing is if you look at something and you know, this is what I did, it's 5 years old, it looks bad, and I have no idea what I would change or how to do it better. I think that's the worst. And so to me, at least, it feels always like, I mean, I can experiment and see where things go. Frank says, is it redesign or is it polish? Where exactly is the line? See, that is a very good question, no matter how many beers you have inside. That is actually a good question. I think this marketing, the folks in marketing have to decide what is polish and what is just polish and what is redesign. Essentially anything that's just with presentation, I would say in that case, is polish, perhaps. And Kirsty says, or remake or remaster or a reboot. Yeah, that's the other thing, right? I think the gaming websites have been busying themselves trying to figure out or delineate what is what exactly. In the end, it looks nicer, it plays differently. Probably a remake. And Frank says, oh, the beers were on Friday and yesterday, not today. Okay, good. I mean, you said you were on a train, and since you're not driving, then I think it wouldn't have hurt. But it's good that you follow this stream sober. Cheers, by the way. And right, so what do I want to change? That is the question. So maybe on one hand, what's really irking me somehow is the logo is not centered. It's kind of big, and Frank says, "Well, my car was parked at the state." Oh, okay. Well, that's different then. So you don't have to worry because I go by train, and then to the car that's parked at the station. So. I looked at other pages. Of course, that's always a good starting point to see how other people have dealt with the same problems as you have. And I thought, okay, what other websites are there that are essentially download platforms that look nice? So I went to opengameart.org because I used to go there frequently, and now I remember, oh, it still looks like the website from the early 2000s. It really hasn't changed a lot. So yeah, this I just wanted to show you what I do not want. On one hand is I think what's probably when I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a user who comes to Pixel Prophecy stuff. If you head over to Pixel Prophecy stuff, maybe, I mean, this is scaled up by 170%. This is how it would look like at 100%. So this is just for the stream that you can follow better. But still, that's a big logo and you already know what you're here for. And if not, there's this about where it says what this is all about. So maybe I can move this somewhere, because even if you already know what Pixel Prophecy stuff is, you still have, I mean, the categories, do they actually look like categories? Because resources, for example, has no icon. I don't like the icons anymore. And maybe change things up. And Frank says, on the train there on Friday, there was a group of people who were prepared. They had brought bottles of Coke and vodka, and to make it serious, bags of ice cubes. Oh, God. Frank says, I don't think they went to the same place, though. Yeah, that is the fun/horrible thing with train rides. A train ride is like a box of chocolate. You never know who will sit next to you and pass out. And when people are prepared like this, the worst train ride that I had was from Vienna to Salzburg. And this was when there was I think a football match either happening or had happened. And the entire train was drunk for 200 kilometers, just filled with drunk people and singing and cajoling and puking and horrible. Kersey says, thinking of scrapping it all or just tweaking for now? I think I will just take the good old not HTTP route, the good old CSS route, and see how I can change things. For example, if I just pull out here the category box and say, let's say position fixed or something, and then we have it in place at the side or where it slides in and out. Things like this can already probably go a long way. The only thing here is now that I say it's fixed, the nice collapsibles aren't working anymore. But again, this might be good. Frank says they weren't properly drunk yet, luckily. Yeah, it always depends on where you can get off. That's the problem with trains is the only option that you have is get off and wait for the next one, provided there is a next one. So yeah, it's not like in most parts where you feel like, yeah, I can just walk there if I don't like it. So yeah, open game art, probably a little bit also too busy, and it's better than what I have, but I mean, I like that we have here the logo and open of the home and browse and collection. I mean, frankly, I would have thought that here at the sidebar, here would be where the categories are. But again, let's look at other things. So I came here to craftpix.net. And this looks a little bit more how I want it to look. So we have here the categories there on the left, which I kind of like, because it kind of feels welcoming. There's a little introduction text, which always is nice to have and to know, and some other things that I never really bothered here. When you scroll down, this is the bottom of the page. It's just this abyss that where my body tag hangs. There's no proper footer or about us or that kind of thing, which again I feel like this makes it look and feel like a proper web page and not just some experiment that was abandoned halfway, because it wasn't actually. Yeah, the other thing here is the gamedevmarket.net. This one is more centered around where you can search for things and have the price range. But again, it's I like it how clean it is, and it says here few assets. So when I click on the asset, it doesn't look too differently to what I have. For example, when we hit here the notepad, where was I? Here we go. So you also have it here in two columns, and the middle column, or the left column, is a little bit wider, has the description and so on. And there, of course, there it says more assets and that sort of thing. But overall, I think with the individual pages, I mean, again, maybe I can change things up. But overall, I'm still kind of happy with how they look. So the other thing that I found here is on Envato, this big website that also allows you to look for pretty much any stock, whatever it is that you might look for: graphics, audio, video, motion templates, anything. And also here, I like it that there are the categories here on the sides, and it's more about filtering things and searching for things. But I mean, would you like it? Does it feel more welcoming when all you see is just thumbnails, and when you hover over them you get the description? Or would you prefer something like we've seen here, when I hit back, where it has here these little capsules where it says, okay, here is the thumbnail, but also a little title and description? Because personally, I would think when I come to a website and I'm looking for things, or even when I'm browsing, it's always good to not just have the image, especially for things that are a little bit more abstract. Let's say for the stuff here, for the scans of the different scripts. I mean, if all you get is just the thumbnail for scripts, and every thumbnail of a script is the title page, which again is kind of, I mean, if you have just the thumbnails of this category, it looks kind of bland and doesn't really help you in what you're looking for. So the other marketplace here is Game Maker. I don't think it's really the marketplace, it's just the asset store of Game Maker. But they also have the rounded pages here, and there it is a mix of what we had before. So we have the thumbnails and the title, but when you hover over them, there it has more information, the descriptive text, the button to view it, and I'm not sure if I like this too much. Maybe it's just because the fading makes it feel a little bit sluggish. But again, yeah, I like the rounded corners, and that you have here the let me zoom in here, the tag as well in this little frame there. And again, it looks a little bit more tidied up. And finally, we have a good old friend Kenny, where I thought Kenny would have loads and loads of different categories. But overall, if I hit here games, it's very minimalist actually. And when I go to assets, where the most part is, the actual categories, let me zoom in here, the actual categories are up here. And you really have to switch over to assets and see categories. As I have it, I have categories, and in categories you can have subcategories. I think at least that's how I set it up. So of course, these would be the tier 1 categories, and then under each page you still have additional categories should you need them. Kirsty says, I would vote for text capsule, not based on hovering. Okay, good. Maybe depending on item type, image might not be enough. Yeah, I think so too. Because again, it's stuff, it's this grab bag of things where you have, yeah, as we've seen it, scans of notes and concepts, but also miscellaneous here. I mean, the Pixel Prophecy notepad design. Or here in resources, I mean, fonts are a completely different thing because you see here when I'm looking at fonts, they get handled internally completely differently. So PHP is actually, when there is a new font added, it is creating these kind of thumbnails dynamically. Also for the card switching. You can see this when I go here and look at all the items. Where no matter what I select, the fonts always stick out, because I thought having this little square thumbnail for fonts doesn't really work when you are browsing fonts, right? So I thought it would be a little bit better to have this. The downside of this approach, of course, is now that it's a little incoherent when you just look at all these items in one big list, because again, the fonts stick out. The only upside is that they're clustered together, so at least it's not too jarring. Andrew JK is here and says, Envato is designed primarily to catch your eye and sell things. Yeah, that is true. That is true. Assume for your goals, organization and discoverability are probably more important for you. So text is probably important. Cool. Okay, thank you for weighing in. So this only confirms what my gut feeling said. Something like this, where you have text, where you have, I mean, you can switch between, as we already have here, let's go to, let's say, scans, where you have cards. Okay, this is the subcategories. Let's go, yeah, here is scripts, where you can switch between these capsules or cards that I call them, and as a list when you more a person who prefers text. And also there's, I think, there are two tags here, and when you view it as list, there's just more room to have tags. So I think I want to keep that this kind of change, or not change, this distinction between viewing as list and as cards, because again, some people are very visual. What probably I would change here, I mean, it looks like the text box is not wide enough, and of course it's only filling here half of this card. I'm not sure why I did this. I mean, I can get it that it kind of looks cool when there's just one or two words. It has this, I would say, 1970s Swiss design philosophy. But again, I mean, I'm making here now the cards much longer than they need to be. So if I say here the width is not 40% but 100%, suddenly it looks already much cleaner. And if let's do the next thing, if I change here the font size and make it not as large, like 100%, and have here the item text, I mean, that's the headline and that's the short description. Maybe I can padding 0, or was it margin 0? Yeah, if I decrease the margin as well, then suddenly this doesn't look as huge anymore. So I think this already would be a very quick fix to get a little bit closer. Again, here the other thing is it feels like all these interface elements, like here the breadcrumbs and the viewers list and the items here, everything just floats on top of this dark gray background. But again, personally, I like pages that have a dark theme and a light theme. But so far, let me finish my sentence. I have to practice finishing my sentences before I'm going on to whatever I want to say next. So I like this dark gray background, but since I've made this page, I thought wouldn't it be better to have it dynamic? So depending on what your preferred theme is, whether dark or light, that also the website looks a little bit different. And I did this in the microfiction, Pixel Prophecy's microfiction, because here this is also a very simple website generator that essentially just takes my own text format and displays it. And the thing is, where could I change the mode between bright and dark? I think it was under style editor. No, it was not the style editor. I think you could change it somewhere without having to change the entire browser, but I cannot find it. Oh, was it here? Toggle light scheme, right, exactly. So depending on what scheme you have, there is a tailored CSS so that whatever you look at, it looks good in both light and dark. And again, I think I want to support this here with Pixel Prophecy stuff. Cheers, by the way. So the other thing here, yeah, with Kenny, again, I like this minimalist design here, and also that when you hover over it, this little playfulness there of the zoom in. Then, I mean, the zoom in only works when you change the focus. Otherwise, you wouldn't really know what you're currently hovering over, because you cannot tell if this, for example, is already zoomed in without seeing it not zoomed in. So I think as a highlighting tool, it's not the best. But again, I like how playful this is. And the other thing here is, of course, the Unity asset store that I've looked at, because what I like about this is that the categories, they are very inviting to click, because they also have this little zooming effect there, and every icon, yeah, every category has this little icon, and it looks a little bit more coherent than the icons that I have. And finally, we have here the freepick.com, I just got this randomly when I was searching for game asset platforms. And I mean, it has you create an AI image, create an AI video. And yeah, I wouldn't download anything from this site, frankly. But again, what I like here is this sidebar that you can also toggle on and off. And I think this probably is layout-wise much closer to what to how I see it, that we have here a sidebar with the categories. The only thing is how to handle the breadcrumbs. So let's see. I don't need this anymore. Oh yeah, FOSDEM. This is what I looked up FOSDEM after you said it, Frank. And yeah, it has lots of cool talks and developer rooms. So again, if you feel like sharing, you don't have to do today, but maybe, yeah, if you found some new cool interesting things that are currently happening in the open source and free open source software scene. Right, so where was I? Yeah, the asset store. So when you click, let's go with audio. And okay, here we have music. And how can I get back to audio? Okay, so the breadcrumbs are still present here on top of the categories. So personally, I think bar the categories, or let's say additional filters that are here on the right, I think I really like the clean look of the asset store. I'm not a big fan of Unity, not actually their product, but just their company policy, but it's, you know how I stand on it. But overall, I like how clean this is. I just wonder how it adapts to the dark color scheme, and it does absolutely not. Which again, I feel like if you want to burn my retinas, feel free to, but give me an option. That is what I'm saying. But I think overall, I kind of like this very clean thing. What I had here with my cards and everything, where I'm really putting in again in those little capsules, was to delineate the item so that it's very clear where one item ends and the next one begins. So again, when I look here at all items, because it's little cards, you can really tell that, okay, this just stops here, and the text here for Scully Text Editor is grouped with that one. So yeah, lots of little visual problems and details that I need to solve in one way or another. And I think probably even if I just start here now with the landing page, things might look a little bit better. So currently the CSS layout looks like this. Everything here is in this body tag is common, and I'm not using any sort of container. It's just one after the other. There's the div with the logo, there's the button that is a collapsible, and then the collapsible content, by the way, are here. What is when you click this button there. This is essentially what is happening here. And probably, since essentially it's just this one big column container there. The body is, let's check. Oh, I thought it would have been a flex box, a CSS flex box, but apparently it is not even that. So yeah, let's try to bring some structure. I'm sorry, Automated Unicorn. Let's try to bring some visual structure, or not just visual structure, just some semantic structure into this as well. Thank you for feeding the Automated Unicorn spaghetti. It loves spaghetti. They get very messy, but they love spaghetti. Who doesn't? Right, so let's see what they all have in common, and what they have in common is that the store name is, or the product is on top in the top left corner. And I think this is again where you usually, when you think, okay, I've landed on this page, what is this page, what it's called, what's the thing, and your gaze goes automatically up there. And many of them have here these bars, these announcement bars that are on top. Like here we have limited offer, get a $400 something. I think Kenny had this here. They have also this bar that you cannot get rid of. But should there be any announcement, I think the consensus right now in web dev is to have this one slender bar on top of everything. So maybe I want this too, and I should plan accordingly for it. Anyway, let's try to bring some structure into this, and for that I will just go and edit my landing page. So how it happens is, or what happens is, if you arrive on this page, it looks into the post. I think if there is anything, or it gets what variables are there, and maybe if there's an item, then it switches upon this. So essentially everything lands here on this index page, and depending on what variables are present, so for example here it just says view mode cards, and when I go to, for example, miscellaneous, then it says here stuff / category / misc, and there it does the view mode. So this is this again I took from Martijn's setup. Essentially this is the layout. So when there's an item, then the action is item, download, tag, category, or the debug action. And so if everything else fails, the action is list, and I just need to figure out what is happening. Where is the title screen being displayed? And I think I have here this HTML. This is where all the HTML for the individual website. Essentially, they are the templates for the websites. And I'm just curious to see. Probably here it's in list. And yeah, there we go. So where it says the app title, we include the head PHP, and then we have here the top logo and hi, my name is Phil. So I think, yeah, this is the right file. It's list.php. So since I have here this PHP include head, let's have a look at head and foot and see if there are any sorts of containers that I have here in my head. So apparently not. So everything starts here with a body, and let's make here a div and call this class main container, which should make things easier. And of course here in the foot I should also terminate this div. And let's see when I head back here. And yes, now we have here in our body the class main container, which again is currently just doing nothing but hold what we have inside. So let's move this here, the Pixel Prophecy stuff, to this top bar. What do we want on the top bar? On one hand, when we click the logo, we can always head back. I mean, the top bar is a little bit of the breadcrumbs that I've had when we go here to, let's say, scans and storyboards. You see here with the breadcrumbs, essentially it's a little bit like this that should go in the top bar, but it hangs just there, which I kind of don't like. But I mean, here for the icon, the size is kind of good. So let's just experiment. Let's head back and see what we can do. So or let's see how they did this. Which one looks like it's... Oh, I close now the FOSDEM. But even they do it. Their top left corner is their logo, then their the individual categories. So I think, you know what? I think the FOSDEM will probably have the cleanest code that we can look at. So here we have the header holder, and the header holder has a flex display and on top apparently of everything. So this is here in the header ID, and the header itself, I think that's what we looked at, is relative margin 00 padding 00. So I think then let's just steal this. Let's just get inspired by. I'm sorry, we get inspired by this. So we have here the main container, and this is it is called top logo. What did they call it there with FOSDEM? because I trust FOSDEM people with naming things much better than I trust, I don't know, bloody Envato. They called it the header and the header holder. So makes sense. I've never had too many divs. I mean, yes, I had, but usually the problem is you don't have enough divs for some CSS that you want to work out. So list. This is my list, and there we have the top logo. Let's make here another div and call it header. Terminate it here. And there we have, in the header, we have the logo. And let's say, should we have the categories there? Because again, I said I want the categories here by the sides. But of course, I mean here, again, the asset store, I like how clean it is. You know what? The header itself has, I mean, it has categories. Even it starts here with a rollout, which is very Amazon-y. You know what? Let's say, okay, it has here the header and the list of categories. Let's just try this and see how it works. So we have here the header, then we call it the top logo, and then we have the categories. And let's see how the categories work here. So we have here list categories, and this is a PHP script, and I'm really curious to see what this does because I feel like there is a lot of this hard-coded in there with the categories. But let's see what happens if I move the categories box from here up to the top logo. And have here first the logo and then the categories box, and see what this does. Okay, so this is now fused somehow together, but of course not styled. So let's style this. Let's be very stylish about this, and let's have a look here at the header. The header is part of the main container. Is this good or is this bad? Because the main container, let's first style the main container. So the main container should have padding 0 and margin 0. And that's the next thing, should it be always as wide as it could go and fill everything? Because, I mean, here with the body, probably I should take out the margin there in the body. So if I say margin 0, then if I hover over it, it should just stick to the top left center. So yeah, you know what, let's do this. So where is my style? So I'm overriding things, overrides, there we go. So body, there is a heading 0, margin 0, width, let's say 100, view width and height. You know what, let's leave the height alone, but see what this does. So, okay, good. When I hover over the body tag, everything is selected. And when I hover over the main container, it's the same as body. Okay, so this is good. We know it's in the main container just in case we need it. So as for the header, I have here categories. Let's see if I already have a header. Tags, navigation, breadcrumbs, items, collapsibles. Card view, okay, list view, there's a lot in here, and even viewport overrides, but it looks like the overrides that I have, there is nothing for, of course there is nothing for header, we just created this. So I think this was a class, header, and then we say height is, that's the next thing, how to define height, is it in pixels? At some point in the mid 2000s, I started using, because everyone said it should be relative and not absolute. I started using font sizes. So essentially like 2em, that's the em width, or 2en, or point sizes. But you know what? I will change my ways, because nowadays browsers are much better at handling pixel values, and because you can zoom in, I think it has grown pretty robust, at least in my experiences. So I will just say for testing purposes, let's go with height 40 pixels. Let's go with max height 40 pixels and width 100%. and that we see what we're doing. Let's say the background color is, let's make it this blue-violet and see what we get. And probably, or apparently, nothing. Because, yeah, it's an ID, not a class. That's the thing. There we go. Okay, halfway there. So, of course, because the image and the category sizes do not take into account whatever we just did. But overall, I mean, we got here this little bar on top. That's kind of, I mean, it could be double in size. Let's make it here the max height. Let's you know what? Let's make this a clean 100 pixels. There we go. Okay, so one thing that I've noticed is the width here of the main container apparently is not the body width. Why is this? I want this line, the top header, to go over everything. Why is this not happening? So we have here HTML. Okay, the body width apparently is 100%. Let's say body width, view width, 100%. No. What is happening here? Because if the width is lower than or less than 200, oh, maybe I have a viewport override. This might be where I limit the maximum width of the entire page at a certain size. So yeah, I think media maximum width 900. I think 1200 was something, but apparently I cannot. At least I haven't hard coded it here, but maybe it's in this styles here. So I'm using two style sheets. One style sheet is called style CSS and the other is called styles stuff. So this the style CSS is my generic pixel prophecy style sheet, which, for example, here has all the pixel prophecy colors defined. And essentially you just define here one color and color B and also maybe color C, and all the colors are derived from the above. With this took hours of value tweaking. So this is why I'm using for most of Pixel Prophecy websites, so that they look coherent, this generic style sheet, and then I'm overriding it for individual websites. I even have here this animation shake, for example, when you try to drop a file onto a drop zone and it's the wrong file type or something, so it wiggles a little. Then I have helpers, so maybe in here somewhere there is, and there we go. So the body is set here with a maximum width of 1200 pixels. Let's take this out, or even better, do not change this, but override it here. So the max width is 100 viewport width units. And now if I make this larger, yes, now it keeps this. So okay, maybe the header here with 100 pixels might be too large. Let's again make here the maximum height 80 pixels. And everything now has, of course, to fit in there. So again, the logo here is kind of biggish. So I change here the image size to what? Height, let's go with 100% and see if this does anything. No, because it's here in this div. And the div height 100%, 80 pixels. There we go. So if I force this to be 80 pixels, suddenly it looks already a little bit cleaner there. So when I make this, for example, this website here smaller, the website, you can see it has a maximum width, which I think is a good call. But certain elements really do not take this into account. So I think it's not too bad if we have something similar. So as you can see here, the header bar is always at 100% of, or fills the entire viewport, however wide it might be. And also here this our last feature. So apparently this carousel here is also always fits the width. Same thing here for the footer, but again the content itself does not. So this is why we should usually make more use of containers, so that more or less this is contained. So, but for now the header is 100%. And what was this called here? The div ID top logo. Do I have it already here somewhere? No, I do not. So header top logo. There we go. And this was height. Was it inherit? No, it was. I think. I mean, let's hard code this. Let's go with height 80 pixels, and that apparently was it. Usually, I would. I'm a little bit against hard coding certain values because I would love to reference things in CSS a little bit better, and I don't know if this is already possible or not. So for example, where I can say whatever we have here in the header, the maximum height, use this for the top logo as well. Thank you for reminding me, Cursiboo. It's always healthy and funny to stay hydrated. I share the water with all 80 pixels. Yeah, let's just pour water over 80 pixels. So why is this not working? Top logo 80 pixels. I think because the image itself is not, let's go height 100%, is because I refreshed the page, did not adhere to this. So again, I have to say here, hey, in the top logo somewhere there is an image, and this image, keep it at 100% height. There we go. Okay, somewhat getting there. So for now, I will just keep this purple header because let's see if we can cram these other things here that are also filling the entire width of the page very awkwardly. Let's also move them into their own container. So we have here the main container, and in this main container there is the header. Then we should have the main container. Let me show it here. Wrong one. So we have the header, which is this part, and it goes all the way. Let's make this yellow. It goes all the way to the sides, on both sides. And then we have the actual content. This should be constrained to this maximum width. And when I zoom out a little further, and the bottom here, the footer, is again its own little container. So we have three containers. We have the header, the main content, and the footer. So header and footer. Let's make them both like 80 pixels in height, 100% width, and see how this goes. So for this I have to get back to my list. So we have, I mean, maybe we want to include the header essentially on all pages. So I'm moving it out here from just the list view and into my head PHP so that it is now part of all pages. That's what I meant to say. There we go. And of course here in the footer, let's say div id footer content and div, because I think that should not change too much on a per page basis. So let's check again. F5. So we have here the footer content, and when I click, let's say here in the categories, the RNG 3000, we always retain here this top bar and always retain the footer, which is good. Andrew says, oh, CSS has var, unless I'm misunderstanding what you're asking for. Yes, it does have var, but on one hand I'm using this a lot, but thank you for finding this out. Here in my style, I have here this root, and there I'm using these variables for the border radius default, and I could stick things in here like the header or footer. So okay, the question is, my thing is, or what I'm struggling with, this is for the main style. Can I do this in the second style as well, or is there was something where there was just only one root allowed where you could specify variables? Let's try this. Let's call this variables, and let's add here another root tag, and let's go with header height 80 pixels. Header height, what am I? Header height. So okay, let's or was it 80 pixels? Yes. So then we can use var and have here the header height. Because, yeah, I wanted what my my problem was, or what I sometimes want is for dynamically sized parameters or dynamically sized properties. For example, when I say the footer is always, let's say 20%, and then I want something else to use that whatever size it is currently at right now. And I don't think you can do this in plain CSS. You have to run a JavaScript applet that always returns the current transformation, the current actual visual size in the viewport. But yeah, I don't think you can do inheritance with vanilla CSS. Yeah, I forgot we had 2 style sheets. Yeah, I mean, we can try and see how Firefox is handling this. So here the footer and the top logo. Let's see what happens. And it works. It works. You know what? Let's check this in a Chromium browser like Chrome. And it seems to work as well. So apparently, maybe there has been something new to CSS. It's working. Kirsty says you can share variables between CSS files, just need to import in the right order in the HTML according to Stack Overflow. Thank you, Kirsty, for checking. According to my experiment with 2 browsers, works on my machine. Let's do it like this, which of course is always better than to hard code values. I think we can all agree on this. So I mean, things like 100% view width and height, this should be fine. But arbitrary values, like in this case 80 pixels, I mean, the footer could maybe even have a different size. Let's, you know what, since I don't want the header and footer to share too much, because all I'm interested in is the width, because the maximum height might change there for the footer, so that it looks nicer. I mean, we can also force the footer to be always visible on the bottom, but I don't think many pages do this, only when you scroll down and after the content has exhausted, or you have exhausted the content, and then you can show the bottom of this screen. Also here, yeah, you have to scroll down. Right. Okay, so we have here Pixel Prophecy stuff, and when I click, I get back here to the main page. Right, so the next thing that I want is to have this container with all, where the actual content sits, that it doesn't get stretched super wide. So for this, to squeeze this in here in my header, in my head, I create a div and call this ID is main content. And I terminate this here in before the footer starts. Div, let's make a comment, main content. Right, so that I know what div I'm closing at this point. And let's do this. It shouldn't have changed, but now that we have a identifier for this, root, body, header, footer, put the main content right in here. Oh yeah, one thing that I started doing is when I'm using classes that here are prefixed with a dot, I'm using things like these hyphens. And when I'm using IDs, I'm using underscores. Why the difference? Because I've realized that at least with Firefox it works like this. So usually when you want to get a DOM element with JavaScript, you would go like document get element by ID. Yeah, of course you need to have the capitals differently, but then you would go main content, something like this. But I've realized that you can also go just main content, and this is if there is an ID that is like this, has already been defined, then you can do things with it, like for example, like inner HTML is something, and you can do this like here, like inner HTML, like such. So it's much faster and it works, but only of course when you use underscores, because if you use dashes, then it suddenly says now main minus content, and it doesn't work anymore. So this is my little trick. I'm not sure how watertight this is, but it is just something that I usually I stick to. So main content, also here, main content. And here we have the main container. Okay, this is a class. I'm not sure why this has to be a class, but yeah, let's keep it like this. Frank says, I think I'm ending up mostly lurking today. I don't have the brain power to follow along. You're excused, Frank. All good. Thank you for even trying to follow along with this. I mean, maybe you can see this as maybe I'm a little bit too animated for this, but as a falling asleep streamer, you can just doze off. It's not really important what you're seeing here. Nothing of this probably matters to your life, especially not right now or today. So I can just, if you have troubles falling asleep, just watch me program CSS and explain as I go along. All good. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Kirsty, for calling this a clever idea. I mean, I'm not sure if it is clever or it is stupid, but it worked, so this is why I kept it. And the upside of this as well is if I see something that has this hyphen in there and not an underscore, I know, okay, this is always a class and not an ID. So main content, and we say here max width, and there we go with 1200 pixels. Let's see. Yes, it works. Kinda. It's not very pleasing to the eye because it just everything gets squashed to one side. And also here the footer doesn't really scale along. I mean, the header does, but the footer just stops. There's a lot going on. So what I want to do is essentially now we have, let me draw this. Maybe I make this. So yeah, this is now my blackboard. Ignore this. So if this is our page, I hope I'm drawing big enough actually. So we have here the header, we have the footer, and we have the main content. So essentially what we have is a vertical column with 3 elements. And I'm always a big fan of the flex layout. So if I say flex and then we center the items, I mean the bars shouldn't really change because they're always part of the footer. Wow, don't know how I got this. Anyway, always the entire width. When we center the item, so this means that the main container should also be in center then. So how do we do this? So we say here the main content container is, hang on, I'm having too many containers. Okay, so we have here the main container. Let's call, you know what, let's call it, instead of the main container, let's call it the page container, because there can't be too many mains before you get confused. So I call it here, doesn't even have to be a class. Let's make it ID, and it is the page container. Right, the page container, and then we close it here. So in the CSS, I do not have the page container just now, but now I have it. Good. Okay. So yeah, it's throwing me a warning because in CSS you can't have definitions without anything defined between them. But for now it's good. So we have the header, the footer, and the main content. Here the top logo and the top logo image, they pertain to the header. So this is why I will stick them just closer here. So the main, the page container is going to be a display flex, not block flex, just good old flex. And the flex direction should be a column. Nothing has changed so far, but I think we're already there on the right track. So page container, there we go. So here with my page container, I can say align items. And there I say center, and this is exactly what we want, so that the content container, the main container of the content, is always centered. Good. So we say page container, align items, center. Good. And since now this is a flex display, we can also say that, for example, the footer is always tries to sort last. I don't think that it's important, but yeah, maybe we need to come back to this at some point. So overall, we're getting somewhere. Why is it not working here in the main on the landing page? I wonder. But what is working here on the landing page, that the footer has the right width. So now I'm going to investigate a little bit what actually is happening. So let's just pick an item, any item. Okay, so the footer has, as it should, move to the bottom. Let's pick Scully here. Okay, so now since we're here, in this case in Scully, the footer is now apparently part of the container here. Or something happened that the footer is not the right size anymore. Maybe there is a runaway div. Oh god, I hate those things when these things happen. So, okay, let's investigate. So the page container is everything, including our footer content. Good. So the header is here on top. This is also good. And then we have the main content. Okay, the main content, I didn't close it because the footer is still part there of the main content. Why? Okay, so let's look into the head. We open one div for the page container. We open here the header. We open the logo. We close the logo. We open the categories box. We close the categories box. We close the header. So I have one div open here. And I'm opening another div. So we have the div main content and the page container. So at the foot, we close the main content, we open the footer, close the footer, and close. Okay, this actually seems to look all right. So maybe there is a problem here with the actual page. The page listing or page template, that's the word. Oh, Lady Misleaf says, I'm going to hop off. Best of luck with the website revamp. Thank you, Lady Misleaf. I thought you had left already long ago. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful week, and maybe you'll find time next Saturday. And yeah, have a great week, and thank you for dropping in. So where is this happening? Well, let's investigate. So first, what happens when we arrive on the page, we go to index. So if we have an item, then the action should be item. And when the action is not download, if action is download, oh, there we go, switch item, then the item, gather media items, gather item downloads, and include item to, of course, it makes sense that it uses the item PHP. So let's see. And so this is the big problem usually with PHP, and I'm echoing HTML. And this works until you miscount how many divs you have. HTTP-else, oh dear. And here we are including the foot. Okay, so I think what we need to do is now to see, really go through and which div I do not close properly. And it looks like here is, let me zoom in, here is the div of class item main bar. So this page, the individual item page, also is now constructed of 2 columns, and I think the main bar is the one that I'm not properly closing. InkDO21 is here. Nice to see PHP again today. I feel like everyone thinks they need React for everything. Often simple is better. Yeah, this usually I say I'm a simple person. If someone says, yeah, I got a Docker container for you, I say, yeah, I'm not in shipping. I like to program. So yeah, for me, it's always going back to the basics and typing out lines by myself. And when I need a function, what I've realized over the years is I try to stay away from any sort of libraries. For example, if I need to read a node from an XML, I try to parse the XML with what's already built in and not use a different library or parser, because things break, things do not get maintained, things aren't working together, especially if you have not 1 or 2 libraries, but 200 of them. they have so many functions, and most of the time you only need one or two. So this is what I'm doing. Yes. Okay, good. Thank you. So I'm preaching to the choir, apparently. Because again, as a user, when you open a page on your phone and it downloads 15 megabytes of JavaScript just so that it can display the current time of day or something, what's wrong? So instead, I try to understand everything what I'm doing. So, okay, we have a class main bar, and now the main bar, the footer. Now, is the footer part of the main bar? So we have item description. We have the section of the download. And we close the main bar. And see here, this is main content. And the thing is, main content is our... where are we? In the foot... This one here, where we close the main content off. And then we start the actual footer. And this is the page container. Page container. So something is closing our div prematurely. Because it always happens like this. Or is it? So again, let's click through this. So I'll make it a bit larger that you can follow along. So we got here the page container, which includes everything, even the footer. That is correct, that is good, that is healthy. Then we have the header by itself and the main content. After the main content, we should have the page. So it's still, yeah, the footer is here part of the main content, which it should not be. So apparently the item description text box could be the problem or anything. Oh, the section, the class downloads comes after. See, this is what happens when you let your page end without a footer and don't even know it. So this here was with item. So if we have more downloads, then let's investigate all the divs. So I'm having here an anchor. I'm opening a div of download item, an image with a span of the file size, and I'm closing the div. Okay, so again, this I'm having here PHP littered in. Oh dear. So because this is PHP code. This is PHP code. This is PHP code. Now there we have HTML code. See, this is what I do not like about PHP and HTML, because I don't keep things cleanly apart. Because this is printed, but also the echo things are printed. Like this one here is also printed. So I'm opening one div for the modal container, modal left, modal center, modal right. So this works here, the modal. The nav container, I'm opening the nav container and I'm closing the nav container. Should also work. View mode and category, I don't think they spawn any HTML code to be interpreted. Navigation back and nav jump to download. I think those things generate HTML. We have to keep a lookout on those. So then the title is just an image. Okay, then the side pane, item class side pane, and item main bar. Okay, again we have here the problem, I think, with the main bar. So here we are in PHP land. I'm going to ignore this. Then we are in PHP land, I'm going to ignore this, and then we are not in PHP land anymore for the section of the download, unless, oh dear. Okay, we open here the main bar. So part of which div is the footer now? It is part of not section download, but of sidebar main content. So not the main bar, but what is of ID main content. Of course. And it's the item main, no, it's not the item main bar. The main content should close before this. And the last thing that we have is the item main bar. Okay, so it should be there. here in this item main bar thing. Okay. If file exists, if not, if content, then we, okay, whenever we echo something, I have to now make sure that we close off the div. So there we have the class, then the contents, and we close the div. That's good. You know what? As a little canary value, I will just enter this paragraph sign, like 3 paragraph signs after this div and see where they pop up. Or if they pop up. Okay, so I think I found them and they pop up here before the download. And this is the item description text box. So this is where things still are supposed where they are or supposed to go. Okay, then let's continue. What is happening here? Okay, this is if it's a font. If it's a font, do things. And if we have a license, then make a button for this. Okay, div, collapsible content, text box, div. Okay, so this is just a text box that opens where you can look at the license. I think, again, I'm using this for fonts mostly. Okay, the section of the download, the image view, images among downloads. Then we echo an H2. PHP echo view. Okay, we create here a text box. We open a text box and we open the item view gallery box. And for each download, we create an item view image and we close the item view image. And once we're done, we close the item view gallery box here. So we're still in the text box that we opened here. Then we have a PHP else for some reason. So I think maybe somewhere here. So we're closing a div down here, and it's here this div class item downloads box. So I think let's close here a div and put in the 3 paragraph signs again and see where this lands. Okay, that was the thing. We found it. So now here the footer content is again spans the entirety of the page, and after the download we have here the 3 paragraph signs. Wow, okay. Didn't suspect that this would work, but apparently really this was probably the quickest debugging of that kind of issues. Good for us. So the footer, how large should the footer be? Or how tall? Usually with other websites you can see here the footer is pretty big. I mean, just depends on how much you need there. But of course when I make this smaller, or let's see here what happens, so that the footer is always at the bottom. Website successfully has big feet, says Cursiboo. Yes, apparently they have big feet and mine does not. So how can I say that the footer always should try to stick to the very bottom? And I think again this must be an align item or an align self thing. So let's try align self baseline and okay, then maybe let's say height. What is the height? 100%. Okay, first I need to figure out what that. Okay, this is the page container. So the page container in that case should always be min height should be 100 device height, I think. Is it not device height? Viewport height. So that is the page container. Okay, and now let's see if that did the trick. Then we can say here align self. No, it was not align self. Was it justify self? I don't know. Okay, I have to go to Flexbox CSS and have here the CSS Flexbox layout guide. If this were a book, it would have already a broken spine and it would be just pages, because this is something that I reference so often. I don't know, hundreds of times I had this page open to make sure where things go. Okay, justify content, flex start, flex and flex center, space evenly. So align self should be the flex end, align content. So this should be align flex end, but it does not work. Align self flex start flex end. I wonder why. So the page container is big enough for this. The main content has a certain size, and the footer itself, I mean, it's centered now how it should be, but the footer is not at the bottom where feet go. This is, I would say, knee height. You know what? Let's just peek at their CSS, how they do it. Which one was I looking at? Yeah, I think that was Unity. Okay, how are they doing this? Okay, padding, overflow hidden. What part is this? So this is part of which container of this one? Yeah, this is C class. Those are just random obfuscated names, and I hate this. Apparently this was done with React, so you can have here the React ID. Big knee is not as well known as Bigfoot for a reason. Indeed. You never go to the forest and say, I saw big feet. No, a big knee. Only wounded knee, perhaps. So how does this go? Font family, padding, overflow, background width, 100%. This is really what I love about modern browsers now, is that you have here this inspector and you can really just toy around with switching things on and off. For example, let's go here. Where are we? So I'm interested in this little div here, and the max width is 1230 pixels. It's close to mine. But after before box sizing inherit, that's not very important for us. Okay, the background color has here this little gradient there. I just want to know how it sorts where it sorts, how it does it the way it does it. So again, you can see here, and that's not even a very complex page, how many divs they have stacked. So bottom, left, right, center, flex direction. Oh, they're also doing a flex with column transition. Yes, it's for animations. And that's a flex. They're just flexing with their CSS. Yeah, position relative. Is this doing something? Yeah, I cannot figure it out from that CSS. Oh well. How is free pick this doing? I mean, here we have this little, at the very bottom we have here this cookie banner. How is that positioned at the very bottom? I think it would be with, oh god, just look at this. This is insane. So display block, maximum width none, margin 0. Font family, maximum width clear, position static. Oh yeah, of course, since this is a cookie banner, it should always be at the bottom. So I do not want this. I only want the footer to show up. Okay, so that's an infinite scroll. Apparently not that infinite, but I hate infinite scrolls because sometimes you want to get to the footer and you cannot get there. So how they are doing this? Position relative, padding left, width. I mean I could try and go the hardcore route and just say position, not absolute but relative, and bottom 0 pixels. Yeah, fixed says when I zoom in, you see, then it's always at the bottom, and I think this obscures things. So this would have been the quickest fix, but I don't like it. So I'm just going here with absolute. It's the same thing there. Oh no, it's not even the same thing with absolute, because that's here from a page standpoint. So when I'm looking at the page in the viewport, it stays at the bottom, but when I start to scroll, it stays where it is. So again, not what we want. I mean, using here the position when it's inside a flex container is also, well, not the best. So I think maybe I need to look at the actual page container, because I see here flex direction is column, but maybe there is a way to say how I want to align the items much better. So how can I do this? Gap, row, column, align content. Let's go with space between. Let's try space between. I think the hunch that I have is that there might be a bit too much space between the first and the last element. Where was I? Page container, align content, space between. Let's try this. Nope. Probably should specify a gap size, let's say 200 pixels, just so that we see something. Yeah. So you can see what is happening here with the gap size. And when I say space between, this apparently doesn't change anything. So the footer is at the bottom, but only there if the gap size is too large, which again, I only want here the gap between the footer and the main content div. Good old CSS problems that we have here. So is there anything that I can find? I mean, oh, thank you, Automated Unicorn. Cheers. That is a lot of ginger. I mean, here you would think the align self at the flex end would do it, but I have a feeling that it's not doing how I think it would be, or what it would. It doesn't do what I think it does. Anyway, align self. Let's say flex end. Let's for now keep the align content with space between. And so the page container. I think the page container is a problem, because the page container is not filling the entire height. So let's say height, let's go with 100%. Doesn't do anything. 100 view height. Doesn't do anything. Wait, now it does. Now it has the view height. And the footer. Oh, apparently there is align self. Flex start, flex end. Justify self? No. Also doesn't do anything. Flex end, align item center. Oh, that is the page container. This is why flex end. So the footer, of course, should be at the flex end, not the container. Doesn't change a lot, but maybe things are slightly correcter this time. So when I'm using just my mouse pointer and to see what is being highlighted here. So when I'm here in the footer, of course it's the footer, but when I move my mouse pointer down, I'm here in, if you can see this, I'm actually in the HTML. I'm not in the body anymore. I'm not in the container anymore. So this does not exist to the container, which means the body needs to be, there we go, height. Let's go 100%. No, that is 100 view height. Was it that? I just want to stretch this bloody container up. So container height is 100 view height. Okay, so the body, when I hover here, the body is now the entire viewport covered. The page container now has 2. If I switch the height off, it hasn't covered it. So this needs to be on. So this 100 view height, 100% view height should be for the body as well as for the page container. That is already something. Okay. So then we have here the main content. It is where it is, and the footer, and should align self it should align itself at the end, at the bottom, and it does not do it. let's try and troubleshoot here with gap of 200 pixels again and see what is happening there. So again, this is here with the gap, it is working as it's intended. You know what? I will Google it. Flexbox CSS last item aligned to bottom. Flex end property. Yeah, thank you, AI. This is not what works. Percentage is only relative to parent. Exactly, that's the thing. So this is why I'm using 100% view height. And when the parent is saying, yeah, it's already filled out everything that it got. So let's check. So I'm using the view height, yes, and not the percentage. 100% view width, let's say, yeah, well, the height works here. Also here in the page container, this is correct. The header fills the entire width of its parent, which is 100% view width. Then that's not the issue. The issue here with the footer. So the width of the footer is correct, but it's not aligning itself correctly there at the end. So all I'm doing is trying to have the indent nice. So align an element at the bottom with flexbox. Okay, Stack Overflow. Exactly, this is what we want, this kind of layout. Okay, so margin bottom auto, margin top auto. Alternatively, you can make the flex grow 1 to fill C. I think that is what we need. Flex grow 1. Because this means, because nothing else has a flex grow, nothing else is allowed to grow. This one should fill the available space. And it kind of works. It kind of works. Maybe we need the flex grow on the center. But you know what? I think we're getting somewhere with this. So the page container maybe needs this. No. Because I want here that the gap grows downwards here of the footer, because since it grows downwards, again, I want the gap there in between. Okay, let's back to Stack Overflow. Show code snippet. Okay, here with the P and the A, margin top auto. Let's try margin top auto. I'm not quite sure if this works, but let's comment this out, and if it works, I take it. Margin top auto, F5. It works. That is exactly what we needed. I didn't trust it, and here we are. So now the footer content is always here at the bottom. No matter how I scale the page, now things break here, but it's a different issue. So, and now I can say the footer should always have a certain size. Let's say footer minimum height is 200 pixels. And now it grows downwards. And then we also can say maybe it needs some padding here between the header and this. But again, this is a future problem. Right now we still have here this ugly container here with the we cannot even click the actual categories right now. So I think this might be something to tackle here, because yeah, ugly, but I mean, you can see roughly the framework where we want to go. So, okay, let's have a look here at categories and what is happening there. So, okay, so the rollout here still works, which is quite amazing actually, but the categories do not. The tags work and all items. I mean, the categories here in this rollout, that's empty because I moved the categories up there into the header, but they are getting created by some PHP, which I've written 3 years ago. So I think we need to look into that. Okay, so this is the list.php. This is the entry page. And here is the collectible. That's the tags. Here, the categories. So I just comment this out in PHP. So we have here the main list of things. Okay, so we have in our header, the header, in there we say PHP list categories and from get categories. Okay, so where does list categories happen? Probably here by functions categories, prepare categories. And do we have list categories? No, then it is probably somewhere with content. List items, list categories. There we go. Okay. So what we're doing is we create a category card, a class of category card. And interesting. So we create a link. We open a link. Then if the icon is not missing, we create the icon for it. Otherwise, we create the name for it. Then have a div class category text, and we close the div and the anchor. So where does this category text go or come from? Because it's empty right now. How does the category get its name? Printed here that we can see here, resources and the other categories. Anyway, so for one thing that I seen here with the header is that the categories box that I say here has here this category card, and the category card, let's deactivate everything in this category card. So we should end up with just plain links, hopefully. And underneath here, it has a category icon. And okay, it has a name with an H2 and a category text that is just center aligned. So the question is, why is this not where it needs to go here at the top? So I think because it's creating a categories box, and this category box is messing everything up. So I'm going to deactivate this as well. And we're a little bit better here. But of course, the category icons are SVG graphics. And if they are unscaled, yeah, you can see what happens. So the category box, I think I can take out. So where is this? Here in the head, I create the category box. Just take this out. And okay, now it's sorted differently. But still we're not quite there with the categories. But yeah, this is why I discern between functions for the data and functions for the content, or in this case, the content display. So I know, okay, that, yeah, Phil's got huge categories indeed. This would be a mess, but it would be fun if the number of items you have in a certain category define how large the icon is to click. So, view mode cards, top logo, and there we got. So essentially this should go into a div, but in this case, the categories box, probably we need to override somehow. So instead, I will just stick this in a plain box, in a plain div, that it's grouped, but not already styled. So yeah, this is our div now, and I say display flags. There we go. The only thing is, why is this not on top there? Hey, dynamic sizing might be tricky to implement, but it's possible. I mean, it couldn't be too hard, right? Essentially, you just count how many items are in one category and normalize everything, so you get the percentage of each thing, and then you can just say the sizing is that many % of the available width. Yeah, I think that could work. Okay, so again, I just wonder why the categories are not in the header but below, and I think it has to do here with the top logo, because I can see that the top logo, the width of the top logo is the entire width of the top bar. So let's say width, let's go with 200 pixels and see what happens. Nothing really. Let's go with max width 200 pixels still. Okay, so the idea of the header is okay. Well, that makes sense that the header is filling the entire top. That makes sense. So the top logo is there. So the width is sensible. Then we have this next div, and I wonder why it's being pushed down. So the category card, flex flow column, display flex, text acceleration, width, padding, max width, aspect ratio, background color, line items, display, text decoration. Yeah, I wonder why it's not where it should. Oh, probably because the width is always, again, it tries, now I get it. The width of this group is trying to fill the entire space. So I say width is, let's go with 50%. Okay, doesn't change a thing. I mean, now it's not as wide, but it still doesn't sort on top. So if we go with less, I mean, it's shrinking, but it's still not where it should go. So probably, you know what, here the header, let's make this also a display flex, and instead of columns, see, there we go, we need a row, and flex direction is row. There we go, that's much better. Kersey says, can you add a new tag next to the logo and see where it goes? And a Ghoul Prince is here. Hello Phil, hello chat, gonna be lurking around, but nice to catch a stream. Yeah, always happy to have you. Today is going to overhaul the pixelprophecy.stuff website, that it looks a little bit like more professional, like these kinds where you have there on top the logo, and where things are just a little bit nicer, nicer on display. And Kirsty says, hello, Fair Prince. And yeah, the new tag, I think we've already fixed it. It was that the header was not a flex box. So ID header, where can I set this? Item, you know what I just realized? When we make this super small, the logo and the categories are again cramped right there at the very left. Also here where it says this tiny text where it says footer content. So the other websites, as we've seen here, or this one here, still have everything here centered in this middle column, and only what extends is the background color. So I think this might also be something worth looking into. So that we have, essentially what they do is they also group this here in a box, and that has a certain maximum width. And you know what, I think we should do this and have here div class center box. Then there's the logo and everything, and at the end of the header, then we clean this div. So save. And what did I want to say? Right, in our CSS we have maximum, let's call this content width, is 1200 pixels, and I'm going to use this everywhere so that no matter how wide you scale it, it always looks somewhat good. So the page container is, yeah, this should fill everything. The header should also fill everything with the background, and then there is in the middle, how did we call this? We called it center box. So let's do this. Center box. There we say maximum width, not maximum width is the variable that we have of the maximum content width, and we say margin left, and right is auto, so in that way it centers it. There we go. So let's try this, and yeah, now stuff here is centered, and it has the same it starts at the same X coordinate as everything else. Now let's also do this here for the footer. So center box, since this is a class, I can also use it there for the footer. Where is the footer? There it is. So footer, and there we go. Div class is center box, footer content, And this text here should now jump into the center. Bam, not the center, but so that it's nicely aligned. Cool, that works. What I forgot to implement now is that here the categories sort up neatly, but we're getting there. Lots of ginger in this tea. Good stuff. Cool. Where was I? Was I in the head? Am I trapped in the head? Okay, so we have here the categories box, and I call this... no, it was not. That was not the problem. The header has here the center box, and the center box is in the center, and there is the logo, and the center box. What is in the center box should be a display flex, I think. Let's try this. Style is display flex direction. Should probably talk into the microphone and not into the side of it. Flex direction is row. Let's see. Better, not perfect, but better. So what we're seeing here is the top logo. So the header, the center box. And the center box, the yellow, you can see there, depending on what size I'm zoomed in, it grows or shrinks at the sides. And when I'm zoomed in much, then you don't even see it. So this is the auto margin. So this is good. Then we have the top logo that is also of a certain size. And then we have here this div element. And there we say width. Let's go with 50%. Doesn't do anything. So the category cards. Oh, was it also... Oh, I think I also need for this display flex. Yeah, that was it. That was it. So which element was this? Before we go to the category cards. Oh, damn. Category cards. So the center box style display, and I think that was wrong in this place at least. It should go here. Right? Wrong. I mean, it's a little bit better. Top logo. Let's try it here. Also display flex direction is row, and nope, apparently that is wrong here in this place. So we get here the center. I think it was here in the center box, wasn't it? Yes, the center box. So it needed to go also there. Display flex direction row. Yes, okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. So now here the category icons are presented here as these little blobbies there, these little tiles. And currently when a site has subcategories, now the subcategories appear here underneath. So maybe it would be better if the subcategories, as we have it here with Uncanny, that the subcategories aren't part here of this. Let me draw it. So you have here our logo, that's good. You have the categories, that's good, and the subcategories. And I would like when the subcategories instead open right underneath the header that we have, so that the subcategories open maybe here or something, and aren't part of this. At least that's the idea. But for now, let's just make it look a little bit nicer. So to make it look nicer, I take off here this class that it says category icon or category card, because category card, when I deactivate everything here, you can see that the background color and the border width and so on. So should it be text or should it be icons? Because right now I have both. And I think I said I like it better here. What is, was it here with the asset store in Unity? Where you have this little list here of categories with a little icon and text. Might be a little bit too much because up here you still only have the text. And when you hover over it, automatically it has here this overlay rollout where it shows the subcategories, which I think is pretty neat when you really want to get somewhere. Because here, for example, here with Pixel Prophecy stuff, when you want to get, you're on a landing page and you want to get to the sources of my tools, there is no such thing. You have first to go to tools to load the new page, and then here under subcategories there are the sources, and only there you are. I mean, you can hear from the breadcrumbs, which are pretty much obfuscated or overlaid right now. You can still go back easily, but you cannot jump to a certain subcategory. So maybe for a user experience perspective, it would be nicer if you can quite easily jump there. So, okay, let us redefine here the categories. So when you land here on this page, it looks a little bit better. Well, at least until we get here care of the category cards, as I called them. Okay, so let's say the width. Let's say the max width should not be 90 pixels. Let's make it 45 pixels, so half the size, so that it fits in a little bit nicer. Then without the background color, perhaps let's have no border width, no border style, so where it's just flat works also. I mean, when I'm hovering over it, of course, then it turns into these buttons. What if it hasn't a border radius? What if I'm not cutting it off? What if it actually has these underlines so that you know it's clickable, like links, which I kind of like. The display is flex, which makes sense. Justify content center. So if something has no icon like resources here, it just has the text in center, which is not really nice looking, I have to say. So then I can say align items or justify content flex end. So at least when something does not have an icon here, it sorts at the bottom. So the max width, if I deactivate here the max width of 45 pixels and say maybe let's go with 100 pixels. Or slightly less. 60 pixels seems okay here for the max width. Or what if I don't have a max width? Well, then it looks like this. Aspect ratio is set to 1. So this can also go. I mean, I think we're getting there. I'm just deactivating lots of things. So the padding of 0.3 EM. Why is it? This one is now in, I'm mixing units again. So this is in typographical units and everything else is in pixel units. So let's go with 12 pixels. That might be a bit too much. Let's go with 2 pixels. 5 pixels looks right. So display flex, that's good. Okay, so this category card, I've weeded out quite a lot. So I will just copy what is there, and instead of creating here the categories as we need to override it. So the category card means that whenever categories are being displayed, they're being displayed as these little blobs that I just tried my hardest to get rid of. So I mean, right now I will make an override, so when we are listing the categories here in the header, that they look differently, like they look like now. Of course, now the hover effect here is very pronounced and just wiggles the things around. Problem for future fill. So let's override things there. So categories, when they are here, category icon, category text. So I will say here now, overrides for categories in header. Always document your stuff. And this is when it's in the header. Center box when it's in the header and of type category card, I think it was called. Yes, category card. Category card. Then we have the padding. And because I copied everything, even the deactivated things, I have to again make sure which one I deactivated. So we have the padding and everything gone up to the display. Save, and let's see if I hit F5. It didn't work. So because this again, I need to make sure that for every category card that is somewhere in the hierarchy of header. And I always, with CSS, I always have to look up how this works. So was it that? Apparently not. If I take it out, hit F5, well, something changes. Oh, of course, I know what happens. I know what happens because I'm saying here, I'm doing the override, but it's already having here the category card has all these things set, and the override overrides only certain other things. So I need to make sure that for every category card that is not in the header, things happen differently. So the text decoration none. I think this is also what I said would look nice. So I think category card has not something. Header cards could be different tag. Yeah, the thing is, I want to wiggle my way around this because I'm calling this function. Let's see here that says list categories, and I'm also, whenever I'm listing the subcategories, the same function gets called, and inside this function it always creates, as we've seen it with this CSS class. And so I want to have this override for the class, and for this I will look into CSS exclude when has certain parent. I hope this is CSS rule exclude parent class. Yes. So, okay, if you do not want to override every attribute, the only way I see is to give an additional class to the boxes inside of the specific container. Okay, so the class is box, and it has not of class exclude. You can apply a not selector to the child that includes a condition regarding the parent. Okay, dear. This one feels a little bit like wrapping your head around regular expressions, where it's like, okay, where is the not? What is that selector? You know what? Let me just play around with it and see if I can figure it out. Wow. Oh, that T. Okay, first think things through before going into the foray of it. Okay, I want this category card to appear differently when it is not, or when it is not part of the header. I want it to appear differently. Let's try it. Okay, category R card, not header. Let's see if this works. Let's go to, where did I have it here? Tools. Okay, so here this sources and scans. So this also has subcategories. This looks correct. So at this page, at least we can see what things are, how things are going. So something here is wrong. So category card not header. Not header star, which selects everything. Yes, that was it. See, that was it. Simple. Oh, I'm just so glad that this worked. Now, of course, I need to do the same thing here with the hovering. So what I said now is for all category cards that do not have the headers somewhere in their hierarchy, which means as their parent. I think this is what this says. So, which means what we had before was no matter what where in a hierarchy this category card was. It always had all these values written, and at the end I only overwrote a certain subset of them, which means of course all the others that I didn't manage, like border radius and border style, would be present, and right now they aren't present, so they're using the defaults. So this is why this looked a little bit weird. So I do not like actually this, how it looks a little bit like an if statement. So if it's part of the header, do this, otherwise do that. And now the same thing, of course, we have to do here is with the hover. So again, if not header, when we are hovering it, not here in the header, and it's not focused, oh, please work. Yes, it works. Okay, so only when we're hovering it here in the subcategories, it has these little outlines. And when we hover it here in the header, nothing really happens. Frank says, I'm going to be off to bed. Good night. Thank you, Frank, for sticking with me this long. I hope you have wonderful dreams and everything from the conference just merges together and you get new insights in your dreams. At least this is what happens sometimes to me when I program a lot and I have the best things that just emerge where I feel like I solved so many problems if only I had written it down in my dreams. So when I click now tools and MISC and scans and resources, look at this, it kind of works. And when I hit pixel prophecy, then we are back here at the beginning, at the top. So the next thing here is for this main content. I mean, right now it really clings to the sides. So when I say margin top and left, let's go with 5 pixels throughout. Let's go with 0 pixels on top, 25 pixels at the sides, and let's also say like 15 pixels at the bottom. So I think this should look a little bit nicer. Let's copy this, because otherwise things they just, if I open this and you see it's not as nice. Maybe let's go overall with 15 pixels so that there is not too much space at the sides. So this is in our main content element. Was it main content maximum width 1200 pixels? Didn't we have here the max content width? Let's use here the variable. That is much better. So yes, this works, and it should also work when we are here on one of these pages. Okay, so here now the preview image somehow is not adhering to this. So this apparently is too large. So the preview here, the image is too wide. Why is it too wide? Class media, minimum width, that's the thing. So I say the minimum width is 250 pixels, which might be now, since we changed things here, a bit too large. Because again, it scales with the width of the page. So I think, I mean, for now I will leave it as it is, but this is clearly something that I need to have an eye on. So the next thing is, you see here I have this variable width thing, so these overrides depending on how wide the display currently is. So everything looks good here, things just scale relatively. And if I cross a certain threshold of the page width, then it switches over into this one column mode, as you can see. And the good thing is it looks kind of okayish in this column mode. I mean, here now with the preview, and so this could be centered or something. I mean, this is, as far as I remember, set up in a way that we can have always 2 pictures next to each other in this preview when you scroll over it. Let's see if I have something like this. So I think we have it here under tools, and Griddy, yeah, Griddy has more than 2 images, and you see, so there is always a left and a right image there. And when I go smaller, at a certain point it will switch to just 1 image. So depending on if you watch this on your phone, it should work. The downside, of course, is now that what we have here, you see here now at the top, when you watch this on your phone, it looks like this. And so you cannot get to certain categories. So maybe when the device width is of a certain width that it cannot show all the categories, maybe the categories just jump into a burger menu. So the burger menu, let's probably, I think the asset store has something like this. Let's go to something. It's those 3 little bars on top. So let's see, when I'm very large here and I say, yes, we want to watch this on a phone, it's this thing here. Yeah, so this is what also they are doing. At a certain width, this becomes a burger menu. Or apparently it's always a burger menu there on mobile. No. Okay, so this is the maximum width of their supported, or when the width that is supported when they show their whole bar in one. And thank you for feeding a hamburger to the automated unicorn. And when we cross, what is it? Oh, wrong. When we cross, I think 1000 pixels, there it jumps over 1024 pixels. It jumps over into this display here where we have the burger menu for. And that we can scroll also on mobile, which again is what you want. And so the subcategories here are now part of these rollouts. So again, this is kind of elaborate. So I'm not going to rebuild this today because I think I will stream for another half an hour and then call it a night. But I mean, so far, things have gone tremendously well, I would say. So when I switch back here to the desktop mode, I mean, of course, the categories can be a little bit smaller still. And yeah, maybe that's something that we can try. We say the category card here is height. Let's go with 64 pixels. Yeah, the thing is, I can make the boxes smaller, but the contents of the boxes do not scale. So if I can show you what happens now. If I say background color is white, or wheat in this case, if I change here the height, or even let's go with the width, the content again does not scale with it. It just gets moved around. So this is what's happening here. So what I want is to have here the category icon, because here it says width is 3 EM, whatever this means. So we can make it smaller or bigger, and I think smaller is better. So let's try 14 pixels. Might be a little bit too small. Let's say 40 pixels, or even smaller, 30 pixels. Let's go with 30 pixels. And here the category text. So in the category card, this text might be a bit. Category card H2, it says here the text is 100% in size. Let's go also with 12 pixels. So now it's much smaller. And I mean, it's not hovering. It doesn't show anything when you hover with your mouse over it, but I think it's better. Maybe needs a bit more spacing, but yeah, let's bring this over here into, let's chisel this into stone, so to speak, because when I hit F5 and refresh this page, all my settings that I do here in the inspector are gone. So this is why I always have to switch back and type it in or punch it in. So category card H2. Category card H2 and H2A. So category card H2. Again, when it's not part of the header. Or I move this down and then have, so that it's a little bit organized. Not a lot organized, but text size or font size, it was 12 pixels. And the other thing was with the category card, the category icon. Display block width 3 EM, and I will change this also here for the header. Category icon width what was it? 16 pixels? Yeah, we will figure it out. 16 pixels, save, refresh. 16 pixels was a bit too small. Let's say 30 pixels or 32. That's 2 to the power of 5, I think. So looks better, but still it's... Would it be nice to have it like we have here with the Unity page, where it's in... The icon actually is inside these little circles, which I kind of like. Underneath is the text. So the only downside, of course, is that the longest label defines actually the spacing between them. Kirsty says you could make hover trigger underline effect on the text instead of highlight. Yeah, underline. That's very good. Yeah. I think that's text decoration. So yeah, let's see what is happening there. So currently nothing is happening. So when we underline it, or when we are here, just need to figure out where this is. So when hover or focus, that's the thing. So header, category card hover, and header category card focus. Text decoration is underline. Let's see. Okay, this already works. We can say that the underline color may be the same yellow. And I will try now to put the icons in little circles and then make them a little bit better aligned, maybe. So category card. How do I do this? So we have here the category icon. It's its own class. So when we're here in the icon, let's see if we have a background color. So just that I can see what I'm working with. Let's make the background color wheat again, and the border radius, let's say 50%. And the aspect ratio should be 1. Okay, it's not having any of the aspect ratio of 1. We still have these little eggs there, so this might have to do with the category card width. So that we can say, you know what, if the category card has the entire card has an aspect ratio of 1. Yeah, this didn't work. But it helped here with the resources, because now everything is equally in size. Scans, tools, misc, resources. I mean, resources is a weird long name. Easier than circles, but those could be nice too, I suppose. Yes, I mean, we can have both. We can have both, I think. If we can. So aspect ratio 1. So what else did I have here? Width, border radius. I wonder why the aspect ratio is not working. Oh, maybe if I say the height is the same as the width. That's the thing. Why not both .jpeg? Indeed. So when we change here the width, we should also change the height. And I mean, is circles a pixel prophecy thing? I mean, after all, it's called pixel prophecy, not circle prophecy. So maybe when it's in the, well, then again, well, the circles actually do look nicer. Then again, they are just for figuring out how things look. Maybe they need to be a bit bigger. Still, let's try 42. Okay, so of course now the circles should be slightly bigger than the actual image. Because it feels a little bit cramped, so the image actually inside should be, as we have here, a little bit smaller, essentially. So, but maybe, is this maybe a border issue? Border, say 5 pixels, solid wheat. Yeah, there we go. If that's the same color. Okay, so of course the border needs to be then outside, solid. Let's make the border a solid transparency. Okay, now this works. This works. So if we increase here the border size, then we get a nice outline around it. So then we can bring the width back to 32 pixels. Have the border of 8 pixels. I mean, this looks kinda okay-ish. Width and height of the category icons should just be the same. That's the thing. And as for the background color, again, I'm not sure if I want to keep it as it is with the background color, but just something that we can see it. Background color, let's say, what did I have? Wheat. And I had some transparency, some alpha there. So, F5. Oh, the border radius, right? Border radius 50%. Good. It doesn't look like it's centered, right? Or well, maybe the category icons are centered, but the text underneath is a little bit cramped. Or maybe, what if we just keep the text? I mean, why do I like this so much better? I mean, right now we have on this page, now we have it double. We have it here, and then we have it here on the landing page. I think it would be nice to have the images there on the landing page, because this looks inviting, and when you already know where you want to go, then you will just use here what's on top. So it doesn't actually, I think, need here the images. Which means in our category card, we can say, if it's of type category icon, we can just say, you know what, display none. And it should be gone. So what is now happening? Everything here is sorting at the bottom. I don't hate it, actually. Maybe it's just a bit too much at the bottom. So this is category card. Header category card display. Width, height. Should I change width, height here? Where am I? Oh no. This is when you inadvertently hit page up and page down and you lose where you are. So I think this has to do, now we're having this as a flex. So the card category, we have just the scans. So justify content at the flex end. Now it's at the flex top. And the padding is 5 pixels. So when we say padding should be, let's go with 12 pixels. And it has roughly here the same baseline as the logo. Again, that's a little bit treacherous, because why 12 pixels? Well, it just magically looks good. I keep it like this. But if something with the logo changes, for example, then of course I have to go back in. So this is header category card, and it was 12 pixels, and justify content is at the end. We align the items at the center, hit F5, and here we are. And when we go back to the starting page, I mean, this looks much better than it did before. I really have to say, it looks much more professional. So the footer might be a little bit too large, just because there is nothing there. So if I just make it 100 pixels, it's still, I mean, I still have nothing for now to put there, but yeah. So where is my footer? There we go. Footer, minimum height 200 pixels. Margin top. Right, so you know what? This purple background, actually, I don't think that I hate it. But I mean, we can try and take it out and see what happens. So let's say here, BG color, header, footer, and that is Okay, now I'm trying to nest variables here. So I'm having here color A. I'm just for shits and giggles, I will try to use this variable here as our color. Because I didn't get context highlighting or context out auto completion when I did this, so I don't think that this is possible, but still, let's try it. So the background color here of the header should be the variable background color header footer, which should be bright yellow. And who would have thought it works? It works. I'm surprised actually. But yeah, good stuff. So let's go with color B and make this a little bit darker. Or lighter? I mean, it looks different than the rest, but not very pleasing. But halfway there. The footer content is also, there's also nothing there. But you know what I like? Let me zoom in. No, not safe. When I do not have to hover over scans directly, but if you watch my my cursor here, even when I hover over here where the invisible icon actually is, it already gets highlighted and selected, which again I kind of like because it makes it more convenient, especially if you're on mobile and have the fat fingers syndrome. It always helps if things are a little bit more lenient when you click something. So good thing is I didn't break here the other subcategories, which is kind of neat. I mean, now the breadcrumbs view sticks quite harshly to the top, so maybe I want to change this as well, the breadcrumbs box. And I think if we just take out the outline, it already looks a little bit better. The only thing is now we have here twice the logo, which is not very typographically correct, I would say. Kirsty says, I loaded the website myself, seems to work nice. Thank you for confirming. Yes, I'm testing in production right now. So if you go to pixelprophecy.com/stuff, you can follow along with what I'm doing because everything gets automatically mirrored onto my server. I forgot to mention this, but thank you for confirming, Kirsty. Really appreciate it. So again, how is Unity doing things? So when we're here, for example, in the 2D, and when we are here hitting M farm, what does the breadcrumb say? Okay, they say home 2D M farm as a pack. So they're not showing the logo, but it's just the word home, which again, I kind of liked here my Pixel Prophecy stuff logo as the home, but of course it makes more sense if it's home. So where does this happen with the breadcrumbs? Let's figure this out. So I think it has to do, is it with content? Probably. And data. So list categories, count items, create nav breadcrumbs from array. That's good. So breadcrumbs box target. So okay, the image source is the app logo, because of course you always can go back to home. So I think this is why it's hard coded here. So, and instead of doing this, I just say echo home. And this should have been in it. Yes, it has. So now I can take out the outline as well. That is under styles and breadcrumbs box. There we go. Outline, just get rid of it. And yes, there we go. Scans, storyboards. Okay, what I'm seeing now is since this is centered here, when the website or the content here in this center box is not filling the entirety, then of course it's smaller. And when you hit, for example, scripts and there's a bit more, then it's now a little bit wider than before. And maybe especially when you look here what's happening here with the breadcrumbs, it's now here aligned to under the F. Now when I click scripts, then it jumps back here. Maybe I want to have here this the size of the center container rigid of this main content. So it says here max width, and I would say, you know what, min width is the max width Or no, well, if it's too wide, as a minimum width is 100%. I think that could help. Yes, but now it doesn't take the margin into account. Let's say min width is 100%. Let's say calculate 100% minus 30 pixels. So that should always here in the main content have it, so that when I click on something else, well, of course I have now to hard code it, but that should do this. So center container, what did I call it? Page container, I think. Save. Scans. It was not the page container. No, of course it was not the page container. It was the main content. How could I forget? There we go. Yeah. Okay, here scans, and I go to scripts, and yes, here we are. But the breadcrumbs still stay stationary no matter the subcategories, which is again kind of good. So, and I think now here where we have our subcategories, and again it's wasting. I mean, I like it that we have here this little rollout that is possible, but why would you really minimize here the subcategories, because now you cannot click anything. If you say view as list, this also doesn't change anything here because there's no content. So I think if we have here the subcategories, it doesn't need to go into its own little frame here. So if the collapsible content, as it's called here, if we lose this and it just sits there like so and has the little circles, I think this would be much better. So let's have a sip of water and tackle this. This is the cool thing now with this kind of polish or reimagination of the stuff website. There is so much to do. No matter where you are, any page you look at, there's always something to fix. And the good thing is with CSS to fix relatively quickly. I enjoy programming, really, I do. So, how do we do this? How does this happen? Again, I think something is calling, not the breadcrumbs function, but the generate, what did I call it? Generate categories or something. List categories here, that's the thing. So list categories, and okay, it creates a category card. So this is not automatically going into this little box. So probably this has to do here on when we're here in a category. So we have here the navigation, then we have the title, and okay, if subcategory count is greater than 0, do the following. And here we have the collapsible content and so on. So the categories box. So you know what? I just take this out. And instead, just have here what I call categories box and list the categories. And I just refreshed it, and it looks exactly what we had before, but now I can style it differently. So the categories box. Let's see. How much can we take from what we had already done here before? But okay, no. First things first. I want to just make here the box that it sits in. I mean, it doesn't need to have a background or anything. It just needs to have here this flex display, a gap between. It doesn't need a border. So all it does need, is to be a flex display that wraps around when you make the site smaller. So all you need is actually this in the categories box. That's neat. Where are my categories? Scroll. Categories box. There we go. So there is a lot in there that I do not need. Let's comment this out. And because I'm too afraid to delete big swaths of code that has already been written, I will never write this much again. So just in case that I can take it back. Good. Okay, so when I try now this differently here with scripts or scans, storyboards, or I think here with tools, we also have here sources. Okay, so good. This works no matter in what category we are in. This already looks a little bit different. Right. How close can I get to what we have here without breaking things? Maybe I need to unify these things again. Maybe I need to do this. So to summarize what I did before was, so the category cards, which are these things here, they always look like this, and I have an override only if they are part here of the header. They look completely different like so. What I want to do now is to have also, when they are here in the inside the page, I want to look them closer to this. The only difference would be that they now show this little icon. Thank you for feeding the cake to the unicorn. It was not a lie, the cake. Oh, by the way, a little aside, Connie and I, we have been watching Nailed It. Do you know of this show? It's where amateur bakers try to they get shown some cupcakes or an elaborate cake, and they get like 90 minutes to recreate this cake. And it has this wonderful frantic game jam last hour experience all over it. And of course, the outcomes of these beautiful cakes that they have to reproduce are horrible and sometimes even taste horrible. It's our comfort food for the eyes, so to speak. Right. Okay. So I went through big troubles trying to come up with this selector here so that I can separate the display down here, which is what happens here when it's not in the header, from what happens when it's in the header. So essentially, but what I want to do is let's get rid of this as well. And say, okay, what happens if it's not just in the header, but in general the category card, like so. So what happens now, of course, is the hover and highlight and focus effect is still overridden, but now we're getting a little bit closer. So when it's here not in the header, I will also take out this and say header category card, header icon, and so on, to unify this. Save, and now it looks like we have it up here. But now I want to bring back the where do I have it? Display none, the category icon. So category icon for this is category icon if it's not in the header. Then we say display block and give it a border and everything. So I can take it out here and bring it back up here. And yeah, apparently this also counts, of course, here in the headline where it says scans. It also uses the image of the category, and this apparently gets classified as a category icon. So yeah, apparently we have to deal with this again. Kirsty says, I don't have cake, but I do love baklava. Ooh, baklava, that wonderful, wonderful. This is also what we have here in Austria. There are many Turkish pastry shops, and baklava is pistachio and butter and what's called the phyllo cake. I think this very thin flat cake, and you have nuts and so good. Tools tab is weird. To Tools tab. Tools tab. This one? I think if you're talking about this, I'm at a loss right now. But yeah, here for sources, for example, I want the icon back. And why is it not? Why don't... Oh, of course, sources does not have an icon. Let's go here to scans. They have an icon. Okay, so let's keep things... Let's keep on fixing. Yes, that's what I mean. Okay, thank you. Good. So yeah, because all of them, they created programmatically, and apparently I give them the category icon class. So if it's not in a header, it's going to be displayed as a block. It has a width of 3 EM. Depending, this again depends on the text size. So it's bigger here because it's now part of the headline. So again, maybe either take this out or write an override. So first let's make these two circles into circles. So where is this happening? Category card. Category card aspect ratio 1. Doesn't do anything. Wrong div. Category icon, I think here it is. Width, yeah. And aspect ratio 1. No, apparently that wasn't it either. Why not? Probably because I have set somewhere a width, categories box, a width and no height. Category card. Let's go with width, 12 pixels. That's not enough. 48 pixels and height as well. That's also not it. I mean, we're closer, but still, that ain't a circle. So it must be in here with the image. No, it's not the image. It's here the class category icon. This is where it's slightly oval. So there, width and height. I think that's the thing. 3 EM. Yes, that was it. So if I have the aspect ratio of 1, it doesn't really care because that's not an issue. So why 3 EM? Because it's size dependent. But if I say not 12 EM, 12 pixels. So now you can see it also changed here at the category description. So let's go with 36 pixels. That's neat. It's a neat number. So category icon, not header, width 36 pixels, height. Oh, I'm mistyping today badly. 36, that's 35 on top, 36 PS pixels. Good, okay. That's better. The gap between them is a little bit wide, I would say. So that's here in category icons, categories box. So the gap, let's say 6 pixels, minus 4 pixels. Oh, apparently I don't need to have any sort of gap because the category cards already have quite a bit of a padding. So if I set the padding to, let's say, 6 pixels instead, I do not even need to take into account the gap. Sorry, I'm slumping down in my chair. Probably should just tilt the microphone differently so that I'm always slightly leaning forward. Right. So category card padding 6 pixels. Category card padding 6 pixels. Then the categories box has also a gap, which again I don't need. And one thing is now that the text underneath is slightly cramped. It feels like it's a bit too close. So what if I have here margin top 3 pixels? Let's go with 6 pixels, looks nice. Kersey says, another streamer I watch has a posture check redeem for that. Oh, that's a good idea. Let me write this down. That is, I've seen this as well somewhere. Posture check. I need to write this with much more post. Why did I put an M in there? Oh my God, I probably should stop. I just can show you. I couldn't read the word posture on top, so this is why I wrote it on the bottom, and then it was postrum, because apparently I cannot write and think at the same time. But it's a good idea. Thank you. Yeah, I also want to get started on some new emotes for Twitch. Some funny little hand-drawn unicorns, and yeah, I haven't had the time to, but I'm very much looking forward, because then I can also make stickers out of them. So category card margin top, I think this is the H2. Margin top overrides overall. More redeems and emotes would be fun. More redeems. So I'm very much open to ideas for more redeems. I mean, you got to use your channel points, your unicorn flakes for something, right? So, okay, cool. What happens now is exactly what I want to happen. The only thing is now here, of course, the text color is hard to read. And for that, let's also make an override. Color is B dark, dark, dark. Let's make B light, light, light. Unless, of course, it's in the header. Category card H2. Oh, I have it here twice. Category card H2, font size 100%. Well, 12 pixels. And here I can say, well, if it's in the header, then we say the color is dark, dark, dark. Cool, works. Then the underscore, this text decoration, this I like it when it's yellow as this little splash of color. How do I do this? CSS color of underline. Text decoration color. Well, this makes sense. Text decoration. There's the N color. And that is a variable color A. And you know what? Let's do this not just for the header, but for all of the categories. F5. So, yeah, apparently not working. Color A, text decoration color. Text decoration none. Why? Okay, I'm a little bit stumped. Text decoration none. Oh, probably when I'm hovering, right? So, okay, let's take out all the commented out code, because I don't want to scroll that much. But here we have the hover. Text decoration underline. I think there it needs, yeah, this is where the color needs to go. And maybe we can even say the text decoration underline thickness is text decoration thickness. I mean, that's a little bit of a given. Text decoration thickness, what's a good 3 pixels? That it's really obvious. Yes, that's too much, but I kinda, when we go with 2 pixels, I think this should also work. So let's zoom in. I think this really feels like, okay, this is now underlined. Also here. And of course, here we can maybe even like have this little zoom effect, for example, as Unity does it, where it scales. So this would be a transform animation. Let's see if I can get this to work. Of course, when I animate this, then it pushes the description also a little bit further down. So maybe this might be a little bit too much for today, or at least for the things that I set out to do today. Tags about all items. I mean, it would be nice if I have here all my categories as well. So before the about text, or should I have it underneath the about text? Let's put it underneath the about text. So, and I'm not using any collapsibles anymore, apparently. Speaking of thank you for redeeming the unicorn. I need to have different unicorns for different checks, where it's like Ashley for having a sip of water, or Sprinkles for a posture check. So I'm missing now. Oh, this is the div that I opened. Again, very treacherous. So let's see how this looks. Okay, we have here this text box and it's kind of ugly. So if I take out the text box color and use a different, the background, if I use a different color, well, then it says, "Hi, I'm Phil. This is my stuff page. Feel free." And then maybe I insert the PHP. I insert the categories, all of them, and categories, gather categories. I mean, we already have the categories in the head. I've already gathered them. So I can say list categories, get categories. There is list. There we go. No, oh, double PHP. Yes, somewhat. It needs to go in a little box as well. So div. Yeah, for now I just leave it as a div and put in not string style is display flex, and flex direction is row. And maybe that's already it. Maybe we don't need much more. For the text box, I just need to, yeah. I think we're almost there here with the categories. So maybe I can center it, or we can say div style width is 100% or fit content, and margin is auto. And now it's centered. So fit content, margin auto. And here is, for this doesn't need to be a text box. Style, text, color, or just color, I think it is. Color is variable, color B, LLL. This is what I'm using to denote a certain color, whether it should be light or dark. So you can, I think I showed this before in my style CSS. So I'm just defining here the three main colors, and then two colors for valid and invalid, and all other colors are derived from it. And I have here color A, that is light, 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 and light, 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 lightest. And the same thing here for dark. This is why I'm using just a number of D's and L's, because you can see it really at a glance. If something has 4 L's, you know, okay, it's very bright. And if you just read brightest, brighter, what is bright and brighter? What's the difference? So this is how I started doing things, and so far this really has survived the harsh reality of actual implementation. So kinda okay. I mean, maybe the text block here is a little bit cramped on top, but overall I think it's, oh, I didn't terminate this. So margin top, let's go with 5 pixels. There we go. Okay, this looks kind of nice. And then here we have the categories, the tags, and all items if you're such inclined to look at them. I'm slumping again back in my chair. Right. Okay, then I click on tools, and here we are, tools, and this is not clear that these are subcategories, right? because this one does not have an icon. So note to myself, everything here needs an icon, or that it's clear that it is something that you can look at. Otherwise, it looks a little bit lost. This one, cute little one category icon. So when you hover over it, maybe the text should also become yellow, or is it enough that we just have it underlined? Does it look interactive enough? I mean, let's try it and see if it's too much. So category card hover, focus, then we say color is also the yellow color. And it's not working. Category card hover. Because it's an H2. So let's duplicate this. Category card H2 hover, category card H2 focus. And see what happens when I'm hovering over the card, then we just get the underline, but only when I hover over the text itself, only then it changes the colors. So this is a little bit too fine-grained, so I need computers. They do exactly what you say they should do, not what you want them to do. So instead of this hovering over, whenever I hover over the category card itself, so something like this, I want to change the color. And for this, I do the good old thing when I don't know how to properly select things. I just plug in important to overwrite things. And now it should work. Of course it doesn't. Does it work here? No, it does not as well. If I reload the page hard, it also does not work. So, why not? Category card hover. Because we have here this specification that is more specific than what we have here. And Agul Prince spams the technical difficulties. Yes, I'm having technical difficulties. But we can sort it out. So the thing is, I say here category card, but what I want to change is the color of category card H2. So that's the headline 2. So because I have it here specified much more closely, this is relatively broad. This is whatever is inside this container. And this says this is for every H2 that is inside this container. So this is more specific than what I have here. So this means this overrides it. So, you know what? Let's be also then very specific and say, okay, if this is hover, no, that's the problem that we had. That is the problem that we had. What if I say this hover, then we have color A. Does this work? No, it does not. Kirsty says, just wait until CSS is replaced by English AI prompts, then it'll understand exactly what you want. Kappa. Indeed, because as we all know, when you prompt something, the AI, it knows exactly what you mean. Okay, so when I'm hovering over category card, I want H2A to change the color. Okay. CSS, change color in child when hovering parent. Child set to change color on parent hover, but also changes when hovered itself. I love Stack Overflow when it was still useful. Okay, below made sense for 2013. However, now I would use the not selector as described below. I love it when there's an answer from, what is it? Okay, edited 2020, but answered 2013. So, described below. Parent hover, not span, not hover. Okay, when the parent is hovered, this is what we have here. I think they're having a slightly different problem than I'm having. How to style parent element. Let's see here in Geeks for Geeks. Child element pointer events auto. Parent element hover. Okay, I think that's what I want here with the parent element. This example, okay, style parent, pointer events none, point background color light blue, parent. Can't be that hard to just change the color here. Okay, what is happening? This is an H2 that is inside the category card. This I understand. H2 inside the category card. The A is not very important. That just means that it's a link. So, but I want all the text that is there. Ah, see, that is much better. That is much closer to what we want. So the H2 is light, 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 light. Unless we hover over it, then it's yellow. And maybe we can do the same thing here. Or is it neat when it's just the underline and nothing else changes in color, or if the underline and everything, the entire text also changes color? I mean, this makes it a bit more obvious. I find just the line change a bit more elegant. But of course, I mean, you want to be obvious with user interfaces, I would think. So what I want to do now to try is to scale up when we hover over it. That would be my last task for today, to see if I can get this done. So when we hover over the category card, then I want to change the category icons transformation. So category card, hover, category text, align center. Okay, well, doesn't matter. So okay, I'm when we hover over this, then what was it called? Category icon. Category icon and transform, I think, specifies a 2D transform in the form of a transformation matrix of 6 values. Oh dear, let's just say scale 150%, 150%, if this works at all. Okay, yes, indeed it does. And the good thing is, since I'm using transform, it does not push the text label away. That was much quicker than anticipated. So let's make this 115 and not 150%, so that it's just slightly larger. And let's see if I can animate this. How did this work? Animate? No, it was not animate. Something I cannot recall. CSS animate parameter. Animation, passing animators. Okay, 3 seconds is in infinite reverse. Stop running. Animation delay. I just want transition, I think it's called. Transition is, let's say, 0.5 seconds or 0.5 seconds ease in and ease out. Let's see if that does what it should be. I'm not quite sure. I need to make the transition time. Let's make it half a second so that I can see. Yes, it's a little bit sluggish, but it does what it should. That when we hover over it, that it changes the size. Okay, so 0.15 seconds. So it still feels animated, but not too fast. Cursor says, yay, yeah. Usually with CSS, this is half an afternoon of work to get this done. So I'm quite happy to see that this actually works. Oh, the site, I added it. I added the site and styled it and designed it at 200%. So this is how it actually looks like in the browser. And maybe that's a bit much. So what again is happening here? My center, my main content here, my width here gets no respect, because the text box inside keep stretching it out. So the main content, the maximum width is the maximum width of 1200 pixels. But here this div is, well, let's say width 100%, and that should, okay, inherit maybe. Because this one is stretching. Oh, it's not the div itself. I think it's the text, the p elements inside there. So width 100%. Yeah, something is happening here, which is not what I came here for. It should look neat and centered. I mean, we got the animation done, no problemo. But this apparently was too much. So where is the problem? Is it here with the p tags? Let's delete them and see what happens. And let's see what happens. No, this was not it. The main list. Okay, I've taken out too much, so it's like I cannot tell anymore. But yeah, something is stretching our lovely main content container here way too much. So the minimum width, okay, of course. So the minimum width, I say, is 100%, whatever is 100% minus 30 pixels. But the maximum width is less than the minimum width, so I have to account for that. So the maximum width is, let's do it like this. So the maximum width is calculation of the content width minus 30 pixels. And yes, now it works. Now it works. So there we go. Main content. The beauty of CSS is this kind of things, where you really have to have apparently experience with it to understand what the problem is. So this was the main content. So the min width is wider than the max width. And this is what was messing things up. Okay, when I zoom in and you arrive at this page at 100%, it looks still a little bit wide, but not too much. It's not revoltingly big. I mean, it could be a little bit bigger just for reference size. Let's view the Pixel Prophecy main website. And yeah, we got lots of pictures there. But I mean, usually you browse it in this of a size. So when I head over here, it could be a little bit bigger still. The text size, yeah, you know what? It's probably just me that I'm getting older, and I always want to see. Wish that the text was a slightly bit bigger. For example, here with this element here. But again, that's just tweaking. That's just tweaking. So if the font size is 14 pixels now, yeah, also wouldn't hurt. You know what? Let's make this 14 pixels there on the header. Where was it? Header H2. Category card H2. There we go. 14 pixels. Yes. Cool. Hey, overall, I kind of like it. I mean, the background here in the icons, this wheat color that I think that I have right now, maybe there's a finer solution to this. Maybe if it's darker, right, like so. I think, you know what, if it's black or darker gray, I think that works better. Yeah, let's do it like this. The category icon, not the background color, is black with, let's say, 33% opacity. Script, storyboards, notes, and view as cards. Yeah, again here, this the main content is maybe needs a slight margin down here, that it's not really that much really sitting on the footer or standing on the footer. So that is, where are we? Class download main content, no, modal container. Are we having the same problem again, that the footer is now part of the main content? Because yes, I think that is exactly the same problem that we've already solved. So apparently when this one is just an image, there is something wrong. Because if I look here at the schedule, okay, since again, those are just single images. And this means they're getting treated differently. Okay, well, back to the drawing board. Where was this item? So if downloads is greater than 1, and it was this div that we closed. So if section download and gallery box xbox, we open a div, we open another div, we close just one div. Okay, I'm just randomly closing here another div. And I will mark this down with 3 question marks so that I can find it and hope that, yes, my god, apparently this was the correct closing div. Oh dear. This feels wrong that you just say maybe here, and it was indeed correct. I'm quite happy that it worked out like this. Oh, neat. Cool. So this slide hovering animation works. Again, there is lots of things that could look a bit better, because now we have the same problem here, that what I said, that it's not using the entire page, but yeah, it's better than it being always too wide. Maybe I can find a way to do this. So the maximum width, but the width should be calc 100% minus 30 pixels. And yeah, I think that was it. So that I'm not saying the minimum width, but the overall width, and the maximum width is, there's still a limit. Okay, so let's double check this with the main content. So width and maximum width. Hit a 5. So this is how we would arrive at the website. So it uses the full 1000 something pixels, unless of course the website is a bit smaller. But if it's larger, then it does not extend beyond 1200 pixels. Good. Okay, that is good. Then the footer is still purple. That is something that maybe I want to change. So if we go to scripts, then the breadcrumbs do not jump wildly around. And here we are with the notes, and the footer stays where it should be, and there's even this slight margin or padding between the elements. Cool, good. Very, very nice. The only thing here, okay, now I'm a stickler for details. So if you see here, this lines up nicely, but this does not. So I think I need to just make sure that the breadcrumbs are a little bit better aligned at the side. Can't be too hard now, because they have a padding. If I just take out the side padding, that should be it. So we got the top padding. I mean, I can even take out the padding in general. So I have breadcrumbs box padding. There we go. And yeah, this is like a little bonsai or a Zen garden, this website, because like I said, there's always something that you can come back to and keep tinkering with. But overall, I'm very pleased with the progress from today. So as for the footer, let's just very quickly make sure that it's not just purple. So I said here, the background color for header footer is used referencing this variable. And where was my footer now? There. Yeah. Okay, the footer is looking good as well. So this probably would be the dark color scheme. So if you have it then on, have you switched your browser to the light color scheme, then that would be differently. But overall, yeah, Pixel Prophecy stuff, I feel it looks a little bit more professional now than it used to before. Again, the only thing is everything probably needs here some sort of icons, because now it's hard to understand that this whatever hangs here in the void is meant to be a category. But I mean, it would be nicer when you say scans and then it would have this automatic rollout as we have here with the Unity store with audio or 2D, where now you can, without even clicking, just from hovering, you can navigate to the subcategories. But again, that's for a different time of day, perhaps. Yeah. Overall, thank you everyone for sticking with me, for being here when I was trying this thing out. And who would have thought that the progress was actually much better than I anticipated. Most of it was just tinkering with CSS, as you've seen, and restructuring the PHP to get it to work. I mean, since this is now actually live, maybe at footer content, I want to have something else there than it just says footer content, which clearly looks like some sort of placeholder, which actually it is. Then I will just say, hey, you know what? This has been a Pixel Prophecy website, or just a Pixel. This, yeah, it is a Pixel Prophecy website. Save. There we go. Doesn't say a lot, but it almost looks intentional. Maybe if I can have here div style is margin top, let's say 6 pixels, div as well, and now it looks almost intentional. Trans K, oh my god, I'm being raided, and I was just wrapping up. Hello everyone, hello Raider, thank you Trans K for dropping by. Oh, this is wonderful, and all you saw was me trying to sweep under the rug that I was having some placeholder text there. Hello Mr. Troy. Oh, you were still there, of course. Pixel Prophecy page polish progress. Thank you, Kersey. And a Ghoul Prince says, good work, Sparkles, and welcome, Raiders. Yeah, sorry, you completely took me on the wrong foot. I don't have an alarm or something. Hi, didn't introduce myself properly. Hi, I'm Phil. Again, thank you so much for Trans K for raiding me. Hope you had a nice stream. I was just in the process of wrapping mine up, so maybe I can do a couple of more minutes. And Trans K says, hi, I will be back with you once cats are fed. Oh, cats, always good. Cat content. And Mr. Troy says, it's rare that I can sit still for the entire show. Thank you for being able to sitting still. I mean, it's a good sign, right? Maybe my streams have been so inspiring to you that you couldn't sit still and thought, you know what, I will try this myself. So either way, I take, if you can sit still, and even if you can't, I take both as a compliment. See, this is this is how I frame the world, so that I'm grateful for everything. Right, so hi, I'm Phil. I'm usually doing weird things with retro games or programming or making games or something games. And today I wanted to rework here my Pixel Prophecy stuff page. That is pixelprophecy.com/stuff, where my download platform, essentially, where I put all my stuff. And it looked a little bit dated. I programmed this couple of years, 3 years, 4 years back, and I didn't like it anymore. So today has been more or less using the inspector here and going through the CSS and making it look nice. I wish I could show you how it looked before, but since I was working on it live, I cannot really show you. But so far, what we've made is the Pixel Prophecy logo, the stuff logo was just right smack dab in center, and everything had these little rollouts, which it still has, but now it looks a little bit more tidied up essentially. And also we have now the categories are here on top, and the nice footer that you just watched me try and make look somewhat intentional. So for example, when you head over to tools, tools does not have anything underneath it. Resources maybe, then it has subcategories like images and textures or fonts or audio. So, and you can switch here from list to the card view. Again, it has been my little pet project, like so many pet projects. After all, what is the perfect thing for you, the perfect tool usually is the one that you made yourself because it's really tailored to what actually you want or what you need. The downside is, of course, well, you have to make it. No one's going to help you there. But again, I'm very lucky that Stack Overflow is still somewhat usable, at least for the older questions and answers. So this has not been yet polluted too much from AI, from what I can tell. Right, so I will have another sip of water and hope that Trans K. By the way, let's give a shout out. Let's try me give a shout out to Trans K. Of course, you have to spell it correctly. There we go. I'm hardly ever getting rated, so it's very much of enjoyable pleasure. The first time I got rated, when I was very new to Twitch and everything, I thought I was being hacked because it said, oh, so many raiders, and the chat was being spammed, and I thought, oh my god, I'm being hacked. Sorry, I have to go offline. Something happened. Something terrible happened. I'm so sorry, everyone. Bye. That was, I think, the first time I got rated. Then I looked up what this actually means, and that it is much more positive than being hacked. Right. So yeah, Pixel Prophecy stuff. If there's something that you find you can, something that might help you with your creativity, whatever it might be, we have tools like the GoPro file renamer. Again, as I said before, a tool is I wrote myself tools to help me with annoying things or things that have been annoying me. For example, with the GoPro namer, if you have a GoPro, it splits files in 2 GB sizes, and it renames those files into different chapters. But the thing is, the chapter name comes before the recording name. So essentially, when you, let's say you record 20 clips or 10 clips of 2 chapters each, you have 20 chapters 1 and then 20 chapters 2. And not of the first clip, chapter 1 and 2, of the second clip, chapter 1 and 2. So this is what it does. The other thing here is my RNG 2000, that a tool that randomly displays CSV data when I was playing Ludum Dare games. Then the screen melter, this one is fun. You probably know good old Doom, and it had this transitions where the screen would just melt. And yeah, this is exactly the tool for you, because it allows you to load in an image file, and then you can have it dissolve like this, and you can export it. Here is a little tool UI of good old screen melter. Again, this is a 5-year-old tool, but yeah, you can see it's fun. It's fun, and I used it on one of my postmortems. And the other tool that we have here, well, Gritty, yeah, is a screensaver for MS-DOS. This is just when I was trying out Pascal programming for DOS, and this is drawing an object or drawing a sprite, drawing an image without clearing the screen in between. And what would you think? It became a screensaver. And yeah, and probably my most useful tool, so to speak, well, relatively speaking, is the Scully text editor, because it looks like WordPerfect in DOS. And this is a low distraction text editor. So essentially, you don't even get scroll bars. This is really meant to just be there, hit F11, and all the screens turn blue, and then you can type to your heart's content, hopefully. So yeah, again, this has been, my god, 10 years. I created this 2016. January 11th, 2016. And you know what? This comes, there's also the source code available for this in case you're curious. And it comes under a facepalm license because you probably can give yourself a concussion when you're looking at my code of how I did things. But either way, if you want to have a look at I wanted to say unimpressive, but I mean it's even less than unimpressive text editor. You can find things there. Right, so my smartwatch is telling me that I had an easy day, and then I'm way past my streaming time. So again, dear raiders and everyone else, thank you so much for dropping by. Thank you, TransK, for raiding me. I hope you had a great stream, and I hope your cats are being fed. Always nice when you have cats around that you can feed and cuddle and pet, because yeah, the neighbors' cats, we've more or less adopted them, because whenever they are even in the vicinity, I try to give them scratchies, and I think they've had too many scratches from me lately, so they try to avoid me because they know when they come close they will get scratchies. Kirsty says, nice chill web dev stream, thank you so much. I really try to make this a chill and thoughtful experience where I just verbalize my process that I'm going through. And thank you, Kirsty, for saying it was a chill experience, because I always feel like, yeah, I want to be the Bob Ross of game dev or programming, which probably McFunkyPants Krista Kaitila is much more than I am, because I tend to get swept away, and then I turn frantic and passionate and don't have this very soothing and calming voice that other people have. So yeah, I talk very fast. Agul Prince says, thank you for the stream, and I say as always, thank every one of you for dropping by, for being part here, for lurking, for raiding, for chatting, for making yourselves known, and for your feedback and everything. With every stream I learn something new, and it, no matter what's the topic is, someone in the chat said something where I thought, you know what, didn't know this, or it prompts me to try something. And one thing that I've learned today was that in CSS, that I'm having two CSS style sheets. In the first one, I'm defining variables. In the second one, I'm using these variables to define other variables, and it works. Never thought that this was possible, but apparently it is. So this also goes onto my tool belt. Right. So, wrong button. That's the right one. Sorry, it's my first day. No, it's not. Again, thank you everyone for this weird random day of web dev. Like I said, I don't want to show you my current state of the edit, because as with all my post-mortem videos, I wanted it a little bit to be a surprise and not to spoil too much when I do live editing, because this would have been usually my plan for today. But again, it was good to get back into web dev, and it wasn't as painful as I imagined it would be. So yeah, good things are on the horizon. Like I said, I might overwork my Patreon, and yeah, good things are coming for Pixel Prophecy in 2026 with another big video, like I said, on the horizon. Still lots of work to do, but there's progress. Right. So with that, again, thank you everyone. I hope you have a wonderful week. The next stream will happen on Saturday. So for those who are new here, I always alternate between Sundays and Saturdays. So today was a Sunday stream, so the next one is on Saturday. And as for the time of day, it's always 9 p.m. Central European time. So this is from right now, subtract minus 3 hours, 3.5 hours, and that is the starting time on Saturday. Right, again, thank you everyone. I draw things out way too much. I don't know how to end it, so I say thank you everyone, take care, and hopefully I see you on Saturday. Bye bye.